Yan Morty is gazing intently at the woman across the dinner table. They are seated at the right corner of the entrance door of Johnny's Walk, their favorite ramen house located near their workplace. The woman in front of him seems to be swimming in deep thoughts. She barely eats her favorite stir-fry noodles, and it is unusual of her to be this quiet. For 10 years of being his constant dinner date, this woman has never run out of stories to tell, so he is pretty sure that something is bothering her. He pinched her nose and that made Song Dae-si snap back to reality. "Hey." Song Dae-si put a mock on her face as he looked at Yan Morty. Earth calling Song Dae-si. "Are you back from Milky Way?" Yan Morty's handsome face grinning at the woman whose eyebrows are knitted next to each other. "A penny for your thoughts?" he asked and gave her a concerned look. Song Dae-si gave him a survey look at this time. When she looked at him that way, he always felt uncomfortable and couldn't help but look away from her gaze. "I need your help," she said in a low voice. He looked back at Song Dae-si's tiny, yet beautiful face and asked, "What is it?" "I need to get pregnant soon," she said nervously. "So how can I be of help?" he asked. Puzzled. "Be the father of my child." Upon hearing her answer, he can't help but burst out laughing. "You're annoying," Dae-si exclaimed in an angry voice. "Please take my words seriously this time, will you?" He began to stop from laughing and studied her face, trying to figure out if he would take her words seriously or not. After a few seconds, he shrugged his shoulders and coldly eyed her. "Please start eating before your noodles get cold." He looked away and started munching his food. Dae-si disregarded what he said and repeatedly told him, "I'm serious. Just answer me, are you willing?" Morty slowly put down his chopsticks and answered in a cold voice. "No one on his sane mind who will agree on your childish whim." "Hear me out first, my reasons before turning me down, please." Morty felt the crack in Daisy's voice, or he is just imagining it. "Eat," he said sternly and gave Daisy a cold look. Daisy suddenly took aback to voice out her reasons as she felt that Morty is really pissed off. She started eating and often gazed at Morty's blank face while he silently finished his meal. Daisy is quietly seated in the passenger seat of Morty's Audi R8 V10. She often threw glimpses at his cold and distant face. His attention is on his driving. Daisy didn't try to open up conversation with Morty, who has been annoyingly quiet since they left Johnny's Walk. She gazed her eyes out of the car window and looked at the city lights and passerby along the side street of the main avenue. It's past 9 in the evening, but the traffic on the main avenue is still slowly moving. Her home is about 10 kilometers away from Yan Enterprise, which is owned by Morty's family. She has been working for him as his personal assistant for 3 years now. Since they have graduated from the university, she decided to work at Yan's Enterprise to be his pillar as he assumed the role of the CEO at such a young age of 25. She has known Morty since grade 10. They were seated next to each other in their English class. She hated his guts then, so even though they were seatmates, she didn't bother to start a conversation with him. Yan Morty is your typical young master teenage guy. Rich, playboy, arrogant and temperamental. Half of the girls in the campus were dying to have a date with him, the other half he has already dated. Who wouldn't get swooned by young Master Yan handsome face that can launch 1,000 ships? Who wouldn't fall on her feet when his gaze locked into you, as if he is looking down at your innermost soul? All the girls in Yan High School do except Song Dae-si. She always treated him coldly. She wanted to treat him like an heir, but this young master was like a pest who kept on annoyingly toying her and deliberately announced to the whole Yan High School community that she was his girl. She still vividly remembers how she approached him and confronted him to stop the lies that were spreading all throughout the campus. "Hey, young Master Yan," she said in a loud speaking voice that made him and his friends look at her as she approached them. They were sitting at the bench underneath the oak tree. Yan Morty looked at her and smiled amusingly. "Hey sweetheart, what's up?" he said jokingly. "Sweetheart your ass," she said angrily. She couldn't contemplate where in the world Yan Morty getting his shameless attitude at. Stop calling me sweetheart because I am not. She noticed the shock in the face of Yan Morty's friends when she said that. Why did you deliberately announce to the world that they were a couple when they were not? The news spread all throughout the campus, and it went all the way up to the faculty, and has reached the attention of my dad. Now can you stop toying with me and personally tell Dad that it is not true? She said in an authoritative voice. Why do you keep on denying me? How heartless is it to deny me in front of my friends? Young Master Yan coldly eyed her and flushed that pained look of being denied. Song Desi made a ball out of her fist and without a second thought smacked Yan Morty's face. I am not your girlfriend, and I will never be, she deliberately said it in front of young Master Yan's surprised face. Before Yan Morty could regain his composure, she hurriedly left him and his friends who were still in a complete daze because of what she did. Yan Morty stepped on the brake and parked at the right side of the road once they had reached Song Dae-si family's apartment. It was located in the suburb area of Hangshan. She looked at Yan Morty's cold face after she released her seatbelt. Are you not coming in? She politely asked. No, he briefly answered. She nodded and prepared herself to get off of his car. Thank you for driving me home. Yan Morty answered. She alighted from his car and started looking for the main door key inside her bag. After she stepped inside their apartment, she took a glance at Yan Morty as he stepped on the gas and drove his car away from her apartment. He didn't bother to wave goodbye like he normally does. Is he upset? Why would he? He heartlessly rejected her proposal, so she should be the one to feel that way. It wasn't easy for her to spill out those words. She spent too many sleepless nights before she decided to come to Yan Morty and asked him to impregnate her. If she had someone in her life right now, she wouldn't dare to ask young Master Yan in the first place. But aside from Yan Morty and her father, she doesn't have any guy around her to seek help with. Song Dae-si's father dotingly took her bag when she stepped into their apartment. Her father took a glance from a slightly open door of Yan Morty's car as he sped off. Did you tell him? Her father asked her in a worried tone. She just looked at her dad and silently nodded. What did he say? Song Mingxing asked. Did he agree? He rejected me. The tears that she has suppressed to flow in front of Yan Morty has voluntarily rolled down her cheeks when she saw how her father's face fell when he heard the outcome of her proposal. Her father dotingly embraced her, and she sobbed to her heart's content. Loud music can be heard inside the Prive Club, a prestigious bar exclusively for the members of high society. Everyone seems to be enjoying the night, dancing into the groove sounds, except for the guy sitting in front of the bar, who is helplessly gulping the bottle of wine all by himself. He has already emptied 2 bottles. Give me another bottle, please. Yan Morty told the bartender when he tried to drink straight from an empty bottle. You can see how worried the bartender's face was, but he cannot say no and gave another bottle to young Master Yan. He secretly looked for the number of Song Desi in their VIP guest list and dialed her number. Although Prive Club is exclusively for the rich and famous, you can see Song Dae-si's name listed beside young Master Yan's name in their guest list, being his assistant who directly coordinates all Yan Morty's special events in the club. Miss Song, this is Lu Ming Yan from Prive Club. If you don't have anything up, would you care to go into our club and help young Master Yan to bring himself safely home? I apologize for the inconvenience this may cause you, but he is in such a stupor state now, and he didn't bring his driver along with him. The woman he had spoken to can feel how worried the bartender is and agreed to drop by to fetch young Master Yan, even if it is already 1 a.m. After the bartender pushed the end call button, he threw a glimpse at young Master Yan and silently asked himself what had gotten him to put himself into a drunken stupor. As Song Dae-si entered the club, the bartender had caught sight of her and waved at her, requesting to move to the bar, where young Master Yan is helplessly located. Song Desi made big strides as she went to Yan Morty's location. She could see him unconscious at the bar table and saw the bottle of wine next to him. How many bottles did he empty? She worriedly asked the bartender. 2. He wasn't able to drink the last one as already passed out. The bartender told her. Song Dae-si wanted to scold the bartender for allowing him to empty 2 bottles, but decided to thank him instead for calling and informing her of Yan Morty's current state. Yan Morty, wake up. She poked him at the shoulder to awaken him. Young Master Yan didn't stir, so she slightly shaken him and kept on calling his name. After a number of attempts, she could see Yan Morty slowly gaining his consciousness, and that gave her a sigh of relief. Yan Morty looked at the woman who worriedly stood next to him and smiled as she recognized her. Xiaoxi, he whispered. Song Dae-si was stunned by the way he addressed her. When was the last time he called her on such an endearment name? 7 years ago? She just couldn't remember exactly when. All she could remember was the look of the boy who helplessly cried and begged her not to dump him in one Saturday rainy night. That boy is the same man who is looking back at her now in the same helpless demeanor. Let's get home, she said as she tried to get a grip on him. Yan Morty looked at Song Dae-si and asked her, why do you keep on telling me to get home? He paused. While you're here. I am already home. Song Dae-si hurtfully gave him a smile. Please say it to me when you're no longer drunk, will you? She blinked her eyes as she felt like her tears would eventually fall. Before she could hear Yan Morty's reply, he plunged into her shoulder and fell asleep there like a little baby who had just found his crib. She asked the help of the club's attendants to assist her in carrying the young Master Yan back into his car. She gets the car key from Yan Morty's slacks pants pocket and drives it off herself. While driving, she took a sneak peek from the rear mirror of the man who was peacefully sleeping in the back seat. She has second thoughts if she will bring him to the Yan mansion or to her apartment. If she will take him home to the mansion, there will be possibilities that she will bump into Madame Yan. She doesn't have a good relationship with her. Madame Yan still harbors ill-gotten feelings towards her despite the fact that after all these years, she never leaves Yan Morty's side and stays with him with all her might. For her, she was still the same 17-year-old girl who caused his son his first heartache that almost killed his life. She had bitten her lower lip as tears eventually fell down her cheeks. 7 years have passed, and she still hasn't moved on from the nightmare that the two of them have shared together. She wiped her tears and cleared her vision and decided to take him home to her apartment instead. She called her dad to inform him that she will bring young Master Yan's home. As soon as they reached home, Song Mingxing helped his daughter carry Yan Morty to get inside to their apartment. Being a man who's 6 feet and 2 inches in tall with a muscular lean body, he gave them a hard time in carrying him inside their home. She cursed Yan Morty at the back of her mind for being so careless, for drinking too much alcohol which he cannot handle. He threw up twice before they had reached Song Dae-si's bed. They pinned Yan Morty down into Song Dae-si's bed. Song Mingxing has helped her daughter undress him and clean up his mess. While he was peacefully sleeping at Song Dae-si's bed, the father and daughter were looking at him and chatting as they sipped a cup of coffee at the sofa bed in Song Dae-si's room. Would you know what's bothering him to put himself into a drunken stupor? I am glad he was at the Pride Club, which prohibits reporter to come inside, or else he will make it to the headline, Song Mingxing asked her daughter with too much concern on his voice. Song Dae-si shrugged her shoulder. I don't know what has gotten into him. He is always responsible. He didn't drink too much alcohol that he can't handle since we were in college. He is always in control of every situation. Did he encounter some problem with the company that I am not aware of? She murmured. Or maybe this has something to do with the proposal that you've told him, her father asked. Song Dae-si looked at her father, then suddenly shook her head. No, he didn't make a big deal out of it. He didn't show any interest in the topic when I told him that, so no, she said with a resigned look on her face. Sometimes, people intend not to show their real emotions because they have been caught up with it already. Her father told her as he gazed at Yan Morty intently. Be patient with him, child, he added. She leaned on her father's shoulder like a baby and nodded. Yan Morty had been woken up by the rays of sunlight coming from the glass window. Curtains up, and he cannot have his eyes completely opened, as the bright rays from the morning sun were directly hitting his line of sight. Plus he felt a pretty bad alcohol hangover that he wanted to throw up. He forced himself to widely open his eyes and looked at his surroundings. He definitely woke up in another's bedroom. He has risen from the bed and carefully surveyed the room. He gradually smiled when he realized that he woke up in Song Dae-si's bedroom. He'd been to this room once, when he was still studying in Ho University. Song Dae-si was cramming with her thesis submission and he helped her finish her work back then. His gaze went to the bedside table, and his eyes were glued when he saw an old picture of him and Song Dae-si taken at the school ground of Yan High School. He was piggybacking Song Dae-si in the picture. Song Dae-si was trying to get off from his back as she pulled his hair up while he was laughing at her. The picture was captured by his best male friend since grade school, young Master Tan Jai-nan. He gave them both a copy, and he didn't expect that Song Dae-si would keep it until this very moment. I have kept mine too, he murmured. This picture was taken during the happiest days of his life. Yan Morty. A familiar female voice called his name. He turned his back and looked at her while she was standing at the bedroom door and caught her staring at the photo display at the bedside table. She immediately made big strides on the way to the bedside table and tried to hide the photo display. What's the use of hiding it? I have seen it already. Why do you still keep our photo and display it at your bedside table, where you can always see it? He asked teasingly. I wasn't the one who put this picture on display here, she said in a cold voice, trying to hide her embarrassing moment. Dad saw it in my old photo album, took it off, and put it here just the other day, she said stammeringly. The playful look on Yan Morty's face has been plastered, and teasingly said, I'll confirm that with Uncle Mingxing when I sees him. Song Dae-si's face turned into a red crimson. Don't you have any hangover? She said as she tried to sway Yan Morty's attention away from the photo display. I've had, but it soon went away the moment I saw our cute picture together, he smiled toyingly and gave her a deep gaze. She blushed. Did you wake up on the wrong side of the bed? She started to raise her voice because this guy was quickly getting on her nerves. What's for breakfast? He asked. I'm hungry, so feed me well. She raised her right eyebrow. Yes, young Master Yan, I have prepared your favorite breakfast. You have to compensate me for taking care of you last night, so I am taking a half-day leave on Monday morning. Where will you go? What are you going to do? He demandingly asked. I have to attend to some personal matters, she answered. Okay, if you cannot finish your errands, you can extend your off until the afternoon. Thank you, CEO Yan. You're welcome, he gave her a sweet smile that she had not seen from him for a long time. She puts the photo display back on the bedside table before she leaves the room. Yan Morty took a glance at it, and his smile was still plastered on his face as he followed Song Dae-si out of the room. Song Dae-si kept on glancing at Yan Morty while they were having their breakfast. Her father went out early to teach philosophy on a Saturday morning class in the Wyoming University. He shifted his full-time job from a high school principal in Yan High School to a part-time university professor for about 3 years now. He doesn't want to quit his principal job, but as he aged, he cannot perform the demanding job of a principal anymore. But as an educator by heart, he cannot quit his love for teaching, so he accepted the offer of Wyoming University to be a part-time philosophy professor. Why do you keep on staring at me? Yan Morty puzzledly asked. She suppressed a smile as she stared at him. She finds it cute when Yan Morty wears the old-fashioned pajamas of Song Mingxing. You're just too cute not to be stared at in my dad's PJs. Yan Morty rolled his eyes. Did you call Butler Min to send my clothes here? I did. Your driver was here early in the morning and brought you 2 sets of clothes to choose from. Yan Morty smiled. Great. I have hired the best assistant in town. True enough, I performed my job an extra mile, so a raise in my salary won't hurt you, right? She teasingly said. He nodded. I'll be going to the office this afternoon to finish some work. I'm not obliging you to come. You can stay at home to catch up on some sleep and take a full day's rest. A worried face flushed into her beautiful face. Why do you need to work on a Saturday? You haven't gotten a decent sleep yet. A life of a CEO, he simply commented. Is there any problem with Yan Enterprise? Is it the reason why you went all the way and drank last night? Yan Morty coldly eyed her. Everything is fine. Then why did you drink 2 bottles of wine last night? Do you have any idea how busted you are? Song Dae-si can't help but nagged him. Stop acting like a nagging wife. His eyebrows knitted as he said it. This silly woman in front of him doesn't have any idea what he is going through after she spilled out that pregnancy paternal proposal. He wanted to wring her pretty neck. If it's about the proposal that I offered that's bothering you, then I wanted to make it clear again this time that I was serious when I said it, and I was wrong to think that you have taken it lightly, Song Dae-si said, as if she had read what's on his mind. Why me? He asked the question that he initially wanted to ask yesterday. Because there's nobody else. Did you see any other guy around me? She said as a matter of factly. She saw disappointment on Yan Morty's handsome face. So if there will be other guys, you will run into them and offer yourself without having so much thought because you just wanted to get pregnant? Song Dae-si rolled her eyes. This overbearing man is being unreasonable again. She should answer no, but despite him, she agreed to his words. Yan Morty's eyes darkened. Do you think you can find a man who is much better than me? Song Dae-si raised an eyebrow. Don't think too highly of yourself. If I haven't known you as a war freak, no life direction fellow 10 years ago, then you can say that. Why haven't you forgotten that boy you met 10 years ago? I changed. Don't you like the new version now? This is what you wanted me to be? Yan Morty asked in a confused look. She gazed at him intently, and before she could answer his question, his phone rang and excused himself to answer the call. I need to leave now, Yan Morty informed Song Dae-si after his quick phone conversation with Tan Jai-nan had ended. Who called you? She curiously asked. Tan Jian, he answered. Are you going to meet him? No. I'll be going to the airport to pick up Tan Jai-nan. Jai-nan is currently caught up in an urgent meeting with a prospective client, so he can't go to the airport to fetch his twin sister, Yan Morty explained. Oh, so she's back, she said in a surprised voice. Yan Morty nodded and stood up to leave. Where's my clothes? Hanging in my closet, she answered. Aren't you going to finish your breakfast first? I'll just grab food at the drive-thru on the way, he said, and went back to Song Dae-si's room and hurriedly prepared to leave. Song Dae-si was left dumbfounded as she looked at Yan Morty's back as he left. Young Master Yan gave Tan Jai-nan a welcoming smile when he saw her at the arrival hall. Welcome back, young miss. It seems that New York has treated you well, he said while he helped her carry the luggages. Did you find me attractive now? Shall I pass to be your young missus? She teasingly asked. Young Master Yan looked at Tan Jai-nan from head to toe one more time. Not bad. Tan Jai-nan was caught of a big surprise, and it was written on her face. Wow. I can't believe it. You are starting to consider me now. I thought you have all your eyes on Song Dae-si, she exclaimed. Yan Morty gave her a smug look. I had moved on from being crazily in love with her 7 years ago. Tell that to the Marines. She teasingly laughed, then looked at Yan Morty with admiration. You're getting hotter, and you look more dashing now. How many young and pretty girls are hitting on you? Yan Morty just shrugged his shoulders and did not answer her question. Who's your boyfriend now? He asked instead. I don't have one, Tan Jai-nan quickly answered. Why, with your looks, it is really hard to believe that no one from New York has tried to hit on you. He curiously asked. There were some, but nothing compares to you. I am back hoping you'll notice me this time. She casually said. He gave her a cold look. Forget it. Tan John-in hurtfully laughed. I knew it. It's always been her. Young Master ignored her words and made big strides out of the arrival hall. Hey young Master Yan, you can't just ignore me like that. I am back to win your heart this time. Tan John-in said with so much confidence. Yan Morty's documents were piled up and by just looking at it, he felt so tired already. If only Song Dae-si was here to help him, will make his work so easy. He has been dependent on Song Dae-si for 3 years now with regard to company matters. She has been his pillar and his energy pill whenever he felt like giving up. Taking a big responsibility as Yan Enterprises CEO wasn't that easy. Though he was aware of his own capability, there were days that he wanted to question his own worth, and Song Dae-si was always there to remind him that he was deserving for the highest position. He wouldn't be on the top of his game without a strong support system. Song Dae-si. He took his phone over his table and had the urge to call Song Dae-si to tell her to come to the office, but he suddenly dropped the thought when he realized that she needed some rest. He put down his phone and took his wallet inside his trousers pocket instead. In his wallet, he took out that same old photo that he saw on Dae-si's bedside table. I became a resident there a long time ago. Whenever he felt like giving up and she wasn't there beside him, he would gain his strength back by just looking at this old photo. He rested his back at the swivel chair, and the thoughts of her proposal flashes back. Look what you made me do, he said while looking at their photo. You should haven't told me that you wanted me to be the father of your child. That has given me another false hope that you wanted to grow old with me. I'm done with you. I can't stand another heartache if you decide to let go of the US again. He suddenly felt a sting in his eyes. He blinked with all his might, trying to brush it off. It is past 8 p.m. and Yan Morty was still engaged on his office work. He occasionally sipped coffee from his favorite mug while looking at his laptop screen analyzing some reports. He has been in the office since 3 p.m. and he didn't stop from working since then. He heard his stomach growling and realized that he hasn't eaten anything yet. He searched for a pizza service delivery number on the internet and was about to call when he heard his private office door swingly open. From the open door, a woman who was wearing a white tee, faded jeans and her long hair in a messy bun entered in his room carrying some take-out foods from Johnny's Wok on her right hand and another lunch bag on her left. Hey, he called Song Dae-si. Shocked was written on his face while she put down the food over his lounge table. What are you doing here? He approached her in the lounge area. He suddenly felt happy when he saw her enter his private room. Bringing you food because I am pretty sure that you have not eaten yet, she answered. A smile curled his lips. Oh, thank you. What's for dinner? He asked while he sat on the couch. She excitedly took the food out from the paper bag and said, I brought your favorite ramen. She handed the ramen bowl to Yan Morty. I also brought some leftover food from our house. Yan Morty excitedly munched the one that came from the lunch bag first, then ate his favorite ramen in an alternate manner. It's delicious. He was referring to the leftover food from Song's household. I'm the one who cooked it. A smug expression on Dae-si's face can be seen. Yan Morty looked at her in disbelief. When did you learn how to cook? 6 months ago. It has been my pastime every weekend, she answered. Did you bring me food to showcase your new talent, trying to convince me that you're ready to be the young madam in Yan's mansion? He teasingly asked. Yan Morty caught how Dae-si's face blushed, and it gave him a wonderful feeling. On a second thought, I might reconsider your proposal, he added. Song Dae-si's eyes widened in disbelief. Are you seriously considering it now? I'll give you 5 minutes to lay down the clause on your proposal. Song Dae-si was stunned and couldn't even utter a single word. You only have 4 minutes left. Yan Morty reminded her. Wait, don't rush me. She stammered while she tried to compose herself. Yan Morty put down the food on the table, rested his back on the lounge, and looked intently at her. Say your piece. Song Dae-si has started to lay all the details to Yan Morty. I will not oblige you to take responsibility. I couldn't care less if you deny my child in front of your family or in society. I can take full responsibility. Yan Morty knitted his eyebrows and he didn't like what he was hearing from Song Dae-si. Why would I deny my own child? I just don't want this situation to be a roadblock. If you want to build your dream family, you can freely choose and marry the woman whom you wanted to spend the rest of your life with. You. Song Dae-si was not able to finish her words when Yan Morty interrupted her. And how am I going to impregnate you? What are your terms? Are you going to give me a scheduled sex with you until we make it, and then what happen next? Will I be able to see my child, or will you hide my child away from me? He furiously asked. Song Dae-si felt the anger on his voice, but she was determined to give all her cards to Yan Morty, since he had given her a chance to lay down her terms. We don't need to engage on a scheduled sex. I have already spoken to a fertility specialist, and we can do the process of insemination. Stop that crap. Yan Morty said angrily. Listen, Song Dae-si, you cannot stop me from donating my sperm cells just to satisfy your whim of having a baby. I cannot accept your term. If you wanted to have a baby with me, I wanted it done my way. He glared at her deeply. Now, if you don't want to agree with my terms, then I won't. Whatever your terms are, I agree, she said helplessly. Yan Morty looked at her intently and made a deep sigh. Okay, it's a done deal. Song Dae-si looked at Yan Morty in disbelief. She was speechless by his sudden change of mind. And before she could voice out what's on her mind, he suddenly felt a quick smack on her lips. It was loud. But, did you just kiss me? She asked. Haven't you felt it, so you want to ask for more to reassure that you have been kissed? Yan Morty asked her. His gaze fixed on her, trying to analyze her reaction. He saw her face turned crimson, and that gave him a smirk on his lips. It's past 9 p.m., and I need to take a leave now, she said instead as she was trying to avoid Yan Morty's playful mood. What's the rush? It is Sunday tomorrow, and you will have a whole day to sleep. Can you just stay here and wait for me till I finish? She gazed at Yan Morty, and when she realized how serious he was with his statement, she sighed. Okay, you have to pay me for my overtime hours, she said. And you cannot kiss me anytime you want while we're here, okay? Yan Morty suddenly burst out laughing. Silly woman. How can I get you pregnant if you are afraid to be kissed? He said, amused. He quickly pinched her nose and laughingly said, You, one hell of a scared kitten. The feeling of being kissed any moment has just vanished as she saw how CEO Yan was so engrossed in what he was doing. She can't help but take a good look at him while he was working on his desk while she was just sitting on the couch. He has gone a long way from being the war freak ferocious teenager to a responsible and mighty CEO. Yan Morty suddenly looked in her direction, and before he could catch her staring at him, she made a big yawn. He looked at his wristwatch and said, Okay, let's pack up, let's just finish everything else tomorrow, he said as he started to hibernate his laptop. You said I'm going to sleep the whole day tomorrow, she said, complaining as she pouted her lips. She started to take a leave first, when she suddenly felt someone was hugging her from behind. Yes, you can sleep on my office couch tomorrow, and just be my energy pill, will you? She suddenly felt his warm breath on her nape, and that gave her an uneasy feeling. She took his arms away from her waist. Hey! She faced Yan Morty to scold him just to be surprised with his deep kiss, and she was stoked. Song Dae-si was shocked. Her mind suddenly froze. She didn't see it coming. She can't help but close her eyes as his kiss deepens. It has the same effect on her the first time she experienced her first kiss with him 7 years ago. She felt the electricity flown in every part of her body. She didn't realize that she had opened her mouth to give him a signal so he could explore more. She hooked her hands at the back of his nape because she felt that her knees were shaking. She has started to feel something burning inside her. That feeling wasn't foreign to her anymore. She had that same feeling back then. She had thought that she had overcome it and had never longed to be kissed that way again. She had thought. Before Song Dae-si has gotten fully swayed by the burning sensation inside her. She heard Yan Morti's voice when he let go of her lips. She saw a satisfied look on his handsome face. Let's get home. I know you wanted more, but today is a long day. Let's get some good rest first. When I am not exhausted, I promise to satisfy your need. She blushed, and before she could counter his words, he teasingly told her, I am giving you a favor here. I want to make your first time an experience you can't forget, so I must be in my great demeanor when we do that, okay? Her eyes widened in disbelief. When did Yan Morti become this shameless, and was she that obvious that she wanted more than just a kiss? Song Dae-si stretched her hands when she woke up the next morning. She looked outside the window and was greeted by the beautiful rays from the morning sun. She suddenly smiled when she remembered the goodbye kiss that Yan Morti had given her when she alighted from his car last night. It was indeed another unexpected gesture from him, but instead of getting mad at him for what he did, she liked the way they parted ways. She looked at their photo display at the bedside window and couldn't help but put a smile on her face. Good morning, CEO Yan. Her gaze shifted to the alarm clock beside the photo display and had panicked when she saw that it was already 10:15 a.m. She has forgotten to set the alarm clock by 7 a.m. She had promised Yan Morti to accompany him in the office this morning, but she stood him up. She tapped her forehead and took her phone to call Yan Morti. Her heart skipped a beat when she heard his voice from the other line. Hello, Song Dae-si. CEO Yan, my apologies, I forgot to set my alarm clock by 7 a.m. today and just woke up, she apologetically said. She was expecting that she would be scolded by Yan Morti, but that didn't come. No worries, he just replied. I'll prepare myself a bit and will take my leave to go there in 30 minutes, she said. It's all right. No need to come here today because I am about to leave the office now, Yan Morti told her. Mom has prepared a welcome lunch for Tan Jong-in at home, so I need to be there by 11 a.m. Oh, she said in a cold voice. Okay then, bye now. When she heard him say bye from the other line, it gave her an uneasy feeling. Song Dae-si didn't make a move out of her bed after the call with Yan Morti ended. The fleeting happiness that she had when she closed her eyes last night and when she woke up this morning has just vanished. It ached her heart when she heard that Madame Yan had prepared a welcome lunch for Tan Jong-in. She was aware of how his mother doted Tan Jong-in and always wanted her to be her future daughter-in-law. Since they were in high school, she had always coaxed young Master Yan to pursue Tan Jong-in instead of her. She had already accepted the fact that she was that girl that Madame Yan hated and never liked for his only son, but why was she still hurting? Song Dae-si decided to take a walk to the nearest mall after she took a quick shower. Her father was also out visiting their relatives in a nearby town. If she stayed at home, she would probably be overthinking again of what could be happening at the Yan's mansion during lunchtime. To her surprise, she was enjoying her me time. She couldn't remember the last time she went out to get a full-body massage and went to the salon to have her hair done. She looked at her new hairstyle and she was satisfied by what she was seeing in the mirror. From a boring one-sided length straight long black hair, she decided to have it cut into a layered one and have it formed. She dyed it with an ash brown color as well. She felt like totally looking at a different person as she looked into her reflection. Her new hairstyle made her look younger than her age. She could pass as a seductive 16-year-old girl again. She just realized how boring her hair was and her lifestyle. Since she was 17, Her world revolved around Yan Morty and she had forgotten she had her own life to nurture too. Songdae-si, Lee Jin-ho curiously asked when he saw her. She smiled shyly. Has I changed that much for you to be unsure of who I am? Lee Jin-ho gave her a wide grin and sat beside her. You've got a new hairstyle. You've got long straight hair from that picture that Min Lin shared with me 2 days ago. She looked at Ho Min Lin and gave her a dismay look. I have requested it. My apologies if I didn't ask for your permission. Then he politely apologized. I have sent him your recent photos since 2014. I guess he has compiled a photo album already. Ho Min Lin was giggling as she said that. She looked at Lee Jin-ho. Why would he request her pictures all these years? Your new hairstyle suits you, Lee Min-ho added. Ahem. Tan Jai-nan uninterruptedly coughs. How'd you've been, brother? He asked Lee Jin-ho. I was doing good. I've just gotten my master's degree in Oxford and am back here for good. He answered without any trace of showing off. I've heard that you will be taking over your family's empire. I've gotten the news from our inner circle. Lu Jiaoxing commented. Lee Min-ho nodded. Is that the reason why you're staying here for good? Ho Lin Min asked. Yeah, among other things, Lee Min-ho answered and gazed intently at Songdae-si. She felt uncomfortable with his deep gaze. What would you like? We haven't ordered our food yet because we've just arrived minutes ago before you came. Let's place our orders now. She asked Lee Min-ho and started looking at the menu. Mine will be the same as yours, Lee Jin-ho answered. Okay then, she smiled as she called the waitress to place their orders. How are you, young Master Yan? Lee Jin-ho asked the man who was seated opposite him. Songdae-si has taken good care of me ever since. Oh, everything's good. Yan Morty replied with an emphasis of how Songdae has never left his side all these years. Lee Jin-ho put on an envied smile. Yeah, you can say that. He looked at the woman next to him. John-in, you looked more beautiful now. Does New York treat you well? Uh-huh. Life has been good, she answered. Will you stay here for good as well? Lee Jin-ho asked. Yeah, she briefly answered. Perfect, I guess we can see each other more often now that everyone has decided to stay here for good. We've missed you both, Lu Jiaoxing commented. Yeah, to more get-together moments. Tan Jai-nan has seconded what young Master Lu has said. So that means I'll be seeing you guys more often. Lee Jin-ho was directly looking at Songdae-si's face as he said it. Yan Morty looked at him as if he wanted to give him a punch. Ho Min Lin has leaned towards Songdae-si and whispered to her, someone is jealous. She automatically turned her gaze into Yan Morty and was greeted by his cold and angry look. It was past 9 p.m. when everyone started to bid each other goodbye with a promise of making the concluded get-together to be a regular meet-up once in a month moving forward. Tan Jia-nin and Tan Jai-nan took a leave first and went home together, while Lu Jiaoxing went home next. Ho Min Lin, Lee Jin-ho, Yan Morty and Songdae-si were left at the Brooks Cafe. We're going home now. Songdae-si told Yan Morty and Lee Min-ho. It was nice seeing you again, Songdae-si and Ho Min Lin, Lee Jin-ho said. Likewise. We also had a great time. Ho Min Lin honestly replied. Oh, sorry, I cannot speak on Dae-si's behalf, but I just hoped that she had a great time too. Yeah, I've enjoyed it. Thank you, Min Lin, for letting me know about this get-together. If you did not inform me, I had missed it for the world, she said as she coldly gazed at Yan Morty, who was unusually quiet. Ho Min Lin giggled and said. Indeed. Ladies, before you take your leave, I almost forgot to get Songdae-si's personal number. I hope you don't mind if I ask. Lee Jin-ho gazed at Songdae-si and took out his phone to save her number. Yeah, I don't mind, she said as she gave her mobile number. Thank you, Lee Jin-ho smiled at her. I'll give you a ring so you can save mine. Okay. He then called her number and cancelled as soon he heard it rang. She has saved it in her phone book. Okay, we took a leave first. Ho Min Lin said, while she shifted looking at Yan Morty and Lee Jin-ho's direction. Yan Morty nodded as well as Lee Jin-ho. They have looked at the back view of the two ladies as they made their way out of the Brooks Cafe. Lee Jin-ho was about to stand up as well when he heard Yan Morty's cold voice. "Can you spare a minute? I have something to speak with you." Lee Jin-ho welcomed his cold face and returned a cold look at him too. They were looking at each other and shared the same sizing look. "Why did you come back?" Yan Morty coldly asked him. "Haven't you heard the reasons earlier? I have to take on my family's businesses, so I need to stay here for good," he coldly said. "You said among other things. What are those other things?" Lee Jin-ho gazed at him intently. "Okay, I came back to pursue Song Dae-si." He honestly gave him the answer that he was expecting from him, but even though he had expected it, his honesty didn't make it less disturbing. He closed his fist inside his pocket and said, "Back off." Lee Jin-ho laughed at him. "I had backed off 5 years ago, but did you make a single move?" He started to have that stern look that had registered on his face. "So now give me a fair deal. If you're not going to pursue her, then let me do that and back off." "There's no way that I will do that," he said angrily. Lee Jin-ho shrugged his shoulders and told him, "Okay then. May the best man win because I am not backing off this time," he said, then started to take a leave. Yan Morty cursed him while he looked at him as he departed from his sight. Yan Morty went straight to Private Club from Brooks Cafe and gulped 2 glasses of his favorite wine to wash off that uneasy feeling that he had since this afternoon. He has decided to drop by Song Dae-si's house before he heads home. He parked his car in front of her apartment. He alighted from his car and leaned on from the side of his car facing Song Dae-si's home. The lights in her room hadn't turned off yet, so he knew that she was still up. He looked at his wristwatch and it was almost 12 midnight. He took his phone out from his trousers pocket and dialed her number. When he heard her sleepy voice, his heart pounded so fast. "Xiaoxi, why are you still up?" There was silence from the other line. "I was about to hit the sack when you called," she said after a minute of silence. "Have you arrived home?" "I'm here in front of your apartment," he answered. He heard nothing from the other line again and saw that Song Dae-si glanced on his way through the glass window of her room. "Can you go down and see me for a bit?" he asked in a very polite manner. "Okay," she answered, then hung up. He looked at Song Dae-si with an intense gaze as she approached him. He couldn't help but admire her slender figure. Her beauty was always a sight to behold, even if she was just wearing her nighttime PJs. "Is there anything important for you to make out of your way just to get here?" she asked worriedly. "Nothing much," he said in a husky voice. "I just wanted to see you before I go to sleep." Song Dae-si furrowed her eyebrows together when she smelled the stink of an alcohol out from his mouth. "Are you drunk?" "Nope. I just took a sip," he said in a low voice, then deliberately grabbed and hugged her so tightly. She tried to push him away. "Hey, I can't breathe." "Don't push me away, please," he begged. "Okay, but can you loosen your grip a bit?" Song Dae-si confusedly asked. She felt that he began to loosen his grip after 10 minutes of being wrapped in his embrace. He held her tiny face as he said, "Go back to your room now and sleep. Good night, Xiaoxi." She was confused by his gestures but nodded and started to walk back to her apartment and turned off the lights. Then Yan Morty started to speed off. Yan Morty was already in the office at 7 a.m. on Monday. He will pass through Song Dae-si's desk before he will reach his private office, and she is not there yet. Even though the employee's official time is 8 a.m., Song Dae-si usually arrives at the office as early as 6:30 a.m. to ensure that she's there to prepare his morning coffee. There could be a traffic jam in her area, he thought, and walked inside his private office. Once he settled in, first thing he did was to check on the stock market. 40 minutes has passed, and Song Dae-si has not come in yet, so he dialed her personal mobile number. Hello, he heard Song Dae-see's voice from the other end. Where are you at? He said in a worried tone. I'm here at the apartment and I just woke up, Song Dae-see said in a sleepy voice. What time is it? Are you not reporting to the office today? His voice suddenly changed from being worried to annoyed. Didn't I tell you last Saturday that I will take a vacation leave today and you approved? She was confused when she heard the annoyance in Yan Morty's voice. There was a long silence. Yeah, okay, it just slipped my mind. Yan Morty acknowledged it. Is there anything urgent? Song Dae-see asked. None, I just thought something bad happened because you haven't arrived in the office yet. Bye now. Song Dae-see just finished with her medical appointment and was walking in the hospital alley when she heard someone calling her. When she turned around, she saw Lee Jin-ho approaching her. I wasn't sure if it's really you who just came out from Dr. Nyo's clinic. I was hesitant to call your name, but glad I did, he said when he reached her. What are you doing here? She asked Lee Jin-ho. Visiting a relative. He answered her, smilingly. Dr. Nyo is my auntie. She is the older sister of my mom, he added. Oh, she was surprised by this information. What did you do in her clinic? He curiously asked. She smiled but did not answer him. Lee Jin-ho was about to say something again, but decided not to say it. Are you going home now? If you don't have anything to do after this, is it okay if I invite you over for lunch? It is a coincidence that our path has crossed here, so I'll take advantage of it, Lee Jin-ho asked. Song Dae-see felt the excitement on his facial expression, but could not help reminding him of his agenda. I wouldn't mind, but I thought you'd be visiting Dr. Nyo, she said. Yeah, I'll go inside her clinic first to say hi, and we'll just come back here after lunch. Okay then, I'll just wait for you here at the alley, she said. Yan Morty was looking at his laptop screen with a bored face. It was just half a day that he did not see Song Dae-see, but it felt like he had not seen her for ages. How can he possibly miss someone that much? He sighed as he looked at his laptop clock, and it was already 1 p.m. He has not taken his lunch yet. He turned his laptop into hibernate mode and started to leave his private office to go to any restaurant nearby. He decided to eat at Johnny's Walk. He misses Song Dae-see that much, and he thought that by just going to their favorite restaurant and taking his lunch there will lessen his loneliness for her. He entered the restaurant and was about to sit in their favorite spot in the restaurant when he saw someone familiar already sitting there. He was stunned to see Song Dae-see having her lunch with someone else. That someone else happened to be his longtime love rival. His heart fumed. Yan Morty's eyes were filled with anger, and he was about to explode. He felt cheated. Since this morning, Song Dae-see has never left his mind, and he thought about her amidst his hectic day, and yet this silly woman was here having the best lunch of her life with another guy in their favorite spot. How could she let someone take his seat? Is this the important matter that she needs to attend to, so she took a whole day leave? Just to have a lunch date with Lee Jin-ho? He closed his fist tightly and took a deep sigh as he made big strides towards their direction, but changed his mind. He turned around and left the restaurant instead. He looked at them from afar. He could see how Song Dae-see laughed while listening to Lee Jin-ho's antics. How could she laugh with him? Her laugh only belonged to him, but why was she sharing it with another guy? His heart sunk in. Song Dae-see was attentively listening to Lee Jin-ho's stories when her phone rang. Hello, CEO Yan? She said when she answered her phone. Lee Jin-ho straightened his body when he heard young Master Yan's name. Please come to the office now, Yan Morty has ordered her. I'm on leave, is it urgent? She annoyingly said. Yan Morty heard her annoyed voice, and that made him more furious. I will not call you to come here if it's not important, he said furiously. Be here in 15 minutes. He said commandingly. Song Dae-see was angered too by his sudden command. In 15 minutes? She said in a loud voice that made the people eating on the nearby table take a glance in her direction. She was about to say something more, but Yan Morty already hung up the phone. She furiously pressed the end button of her phone. She was fuming with anger. She looked at Lee Jin-ho with an apologetic expression. He was looking somewhere outside through the restaurant window. "I'm sorry, Jin-ho, my boss just called, and I need to come to the office now," she said. Lee Jin-ho took away his gaze from where he was looking outside the window and looked at her, then slowly nodded. Understood. He smiled and gave her the go signal to leave. "I'll make it up some other time," she said, before he left Lee Jin-ho hurriedly. Yan Morty was running fast when he made his way back to the office. He must be on his desk before Song Dae-si comes or else he's doomed. When he stepped into the entrance hall of Yan Enterprise, he was greeted by the amused look of the employees at the lobby because he was running fast just to get into the elevator. His office was at the top floor of the building. He was sweating hard when he reached his private office. He loosened up his necktie, took it out and threw it at his desk furiously. He seated on his swivel chair, took a deep breath and calmed himself as he closed his eyes while resting his back. He cursed Song Dae-si 10x at the back of his mind. Song Dae-si was also running fast when she entered the main lobby. The employees were wondering why the big boss and his assistant were both in a hurry but did not come together. She was running fast so that she could be at his private office in 15 minutes. Oh wait, she didn't agree, but she knew how bad Yan Morty's temper was, and if she did not make it then she's doomed. She was catching her breath when she stepped into Yan Morty's private office and worry flashed on her beautiful face as she saw Yan Morty while he was lounging tiredly at his office chair. Song Dae-si's heart ached for Yan Morty when she saw him at his current demeanor. He looked so tired, and he must be facing some huge issue with the company. She felt guilty by cursing him while on her way to his private office. She tapped his shoulder and made him open his eyes. "I'm already here," she said in a worried tone. Yan Morty saw her worried face and looked at his wristwatch. Song Dae-si made it to his 15 minutes grace period. He smiled slightly and straightened his back. "Let's go," he said and stood up. "Where are we going?" she asked puzzledly. "Don't ask. Just follow," he said as he made strides to his office door. Song Dae-si followed him and did not try to ask him another question. Yan Morty took big strides when he exited the office building. Song Dae-si was almost running just to keep up with his speed. She knitted her eyebrows when she saw him threading to Johnny's walk. He stopped and waited for Song Dae-si at the entrance. "Why are we here?" she puzzledly asked him. Yan Morty looked at their favorite spot and he saw that Lee Jin-ho was about to stand up from his seat. He suddenly held Song Dae-si's hand and walked in Lee Jin-ho's direction. "I haven't eaten lunch yet," Yan Morty deliberately said that to get Lee Jin-ho's attention. Lee Jin-ho was a bit shocked to see them together, but managed to politely smile at them. "I'm done. You can take this eat," Lee Jin-ho said. Yan Morty took a glance at the two plates at the table. One has an unfinished gourmet in it. He smirked his lips. "Where's your date?" he asked with a smug look on his face. "Oh, she left because she was intentionally snatched by her boss due to a very urgent matter." Lee Jin-ho gave Yan Morty a cold look while he said it. He shifted his gaze at Song Dae-si and smiled. "I have to take my leave first." Song Dae-si shyly nodded. Lee Jin-ho took a walk. Yan Morty was seated in his usual spot while still holding Song Dae-si's hand and was feeling victorious. Song Dae-si swayed her hand out from Yan Morty's grip. She looked at him puzzledly across the dining table. "So you just called me on my day off because you haven't eaten your lunch yet? Can you not eat alone?" She couldn't help but scold him. Yan Morty pouted his lips. "I was about to eat here alone, but then I saw you eating here together with Jin-ho. And you dared to let him sit in my fave spot." Song Dae-si blinked her eyes twice. "Are you jealous?" "Why should I?" Yan Morty answered with a loud voice. "Yeah, why should you? Acting so childish." Yan Morty did not answer. He tapped the bell on the table to call the waiter. "What's yours?" he asked Song Dae-si. "I'm not eating," she said in a cold voice. "But you haven't done eating yet," Yan Morter reminded her, ignoring the cold aura that she was emitting. "Because you purposely let me do that," she said angrily. "Are you mad because your lunch date with Jin-ho was ruined?" he asked in a cold voice too. "No. I am mad because you lied and didn't respect my time off." Yan Morty's voice trailed off. She looked at Song Dae-si, and her face was really angry. "You've gone overboard," she said, lecturing Yan Morty. Sorry," he said in a low voice. Song Dae looked at him. Did he just say sorry? "But can you please take your order now and eat with me? I am hungry. Promise me that you won't do that again." "I can't unless you promise me that you will not take a day off again just because you'll be having lunch with him," Song Dae-si tried to explain. "I did not take my day off just to have lunch with him. I accidentally bumped into him at the hospital and then he asked me for lunch. That's it." Song Dae-si was surprised when she realized that she was explaining to him. "Is he hitting up on you again?" Yan Morty asked seriously. She looked at him. "Are you being threatened?" "No," he said confidently. "So I can go out with him again if he asks me to, right? We are not in a relationship though," she said, trying to take a peek at his thoughts. Yan Morty gave her a cold look. "Go ahead," he said in a very low voice. She nodded. "I see. Who knows, I might consider him to be the father of my future child. You know I have options now." "You are not seriously thinking about that, Song Dae-si," he said angrily, and being threatened was written all over his face. Song Dae-si feinted a smirked smile. "Let's take our orders now," she said when the waiter approached them. Yan Morty has returned to his office alone after he had his lunch with Song Dae-si. His thought was clouded by the possibility that Song Dae-si might consider offering Lee Jin-ho to be the father of her future child. And without a doubt, Lee Jin-ho will definitely grab the opportunity. He was always on standby mode trying to snatch Song Dae-si away from him. But he will not let him succeed. Over his dead body. Lee Jin-ho was happily chatting with Dr. Nyo at her clinic when he suddenly remembered that Song Dae-si had been there this morning. "Auntie, is Song Dae-si your patient?" he curiously asked. Dr. Nyo knitted her eyebrows. "Why do you ask?" "I saw her earlier this morning leaving your clinic, so I just thought that she came here for consultation," he answered. She lightly nodded. "What is she doing here at your fertility clinic?" Lee Jin-ho curiously asked. "Is she planning to have a child soon?" He couldn't help but feel upset with that thought. "I cannot divulge any information to my dear nephew. Hope you'll understand." Dr. Nyo refuses to provide any details. He nodded. "Understood. Anyways, how did you two meet?" Dr. Nyo asked. "She was my schoolmate in Yan High School back then. The most beautiful girl in the campus." Thou Lee Jin-ho can't help but smile when he answered his auntie. "Seems like my dear nephew has been bewitched by her beauty, huh?" she said teasingly. He lightly acknowledged it. "Do you still like her?" Dr. Nyo curiously asked. "Like? Nah. It has grown into love. And it never fade away." Lee Jin-ho honestly answered his auntie. "Then pursue her," Dr. Nyo pushingly said. "I will. It is the main reason for my return here in the country." "Then do it fast, especially now that she is in her vulnerable state," Dr. Nyo encouraged Lee Jin-ho. "Do you like her for me, auntie?" he asked. Her auntie's opinion on the woman he will be spending his forever with was important to him. He grew up treating Dr. Nyo like his own mother. What's not to like about her? She's one of the kindest souls I have ever met. So chase her. Lee Jin-ho smiled at his aunt and gave her an okay sign. Song Dae-si flagged a cab on her way home. She didn't have a hard time getting a ride since it was just around 3 p.m. and the traffic situation was still light to moderate. She looked at her surroundings through the cab window and was elated when she saw that they were approaching Yan High School. All of a sudden the urge of visiting her alma mater came rushing through her. She can't help but to ask the cab driver to pull over. She was beaming with happiness when she entered the school premises. When was the last time she set her feet on the school ground? 7 years ago? Yan High School was owned by Yan Morty's family. It was the most prestigious high school back then and still the best high school in the country today. Most of the students studying there came from the top rich families. There were very few students who came from the middle-class family, and she was one of them. She was able to get into Yan High School because of the privilege given to the children of the high school principal. The institution offered a scholarship to those children of the employees working in Yan High School provided that they were able to meet the grade mark criteria that was set by the administration and must remain in the top 3 of the class. She saw a lot of changes that have happened in Yan High School. There were additional buildings that have been built. She can't help but wonder if the same old oak tree was still there. It was rooted at the far end of the school ground. She knew that she would be disappointed if they had already uprooted it, because a lot of memories have been created in that old oak tree. When she saw from a distance that the old oak tree was still standing, she felt happy. She took big strides to come nearer and rested underneath. Good thing there was no one sitting there, so she had it all by herself. Given that this old oak tree was located at a far end of the school ground, it was not easily noticed by anyone in the campus. It was a hidden hangout place by Yan Morty and his friends way back then. It was their sanctuary and eventually became hers as well. Memories flashed back and she remembered that Yan Morty has carved their initials on the oak tree. She suddenly stood up and checked if it was still there. Voila, their initials were still engraved in it. She gazed at what was written, M&D. "Hey, what are you doing?" she asked when she saw Yan Morty while he was working on something on the oak tree. It was their lunch break, and while the rest of their friends were in the school cafeteria taking their lunch, they went to the oak tree instead, and she shared with him her prepared packed lunch. "Carving our initials," he said without looking at Song Dae-si. He was engrossed in what he was doing. She loved it whenever he watched him doing something engrossingly. "You're vandalizing the tree," she said warningly. "This is our hidden paradise. No one did try coming to this place, even the school marshals, so they will not be going to see it," he said, brushing off her warning as he has put all his attention to the wood carving. When he finished it, he had nothing but a feeling of being satisfied. "Remember this, as soon as this tree is standing here, our initials will forever be engraved on it," he said and gazed intently at Song Dae-si. "I promise to love you until you can see our initials here," he vowed. She looked intently at Yan Morty. She felt the sincerity of his words. She smiled at him and kissed him quickly on his cheeks, then distanced herself from him afterwards as she felt so embarrassed. She saw a surprised look on Yan Morty's face when she tried to take a peek at his reaction. She saw that his eyes were sparkling. They had been in a relationship for almost 2 months already, but this was the first time that she initially made a naughty move. "Hey you, did you steal a kiss on my cheeks?" he asked teasingly. She smiled at him lightly, acknowledging that she did it. Yan Morty looked at her in amazement. "Come near me," he said. She moved closer next to him and to her surprise, Yan Morty grabbed her waist and enveloped her in his slender arms. Then she suddenly felt his lips meet hers. Her world has stopped. Yan Morty had dated a lot of girls, but none of them had made him feel like he wanted to kiss them like Song Dae-si. He knew that for the very first time that he laid his eyes on her, he always had this fantasy of kissing her if he was given a chance. Her cherry lips made him daydream about how it will feel when it brushes into his. As soon as his lips met Dae-si's, the expectation of what this could make him feel has exceeded. She was his first heartbeat. His first kiss. He was pretty sure that he was also her first by the way she responded to his kiss. Her lips were a bit shy for a moment, But when he saw that she closed her eyes and her lips suddenly felt relaxed, he knew he made her first kiss experience a memorable one. A smirk curved his lips when he finally let go of her lips, but her eyes were still closed and looked like she was still floating in mid-air. He made a fake cough to bring her senses back. He saw how her face had reddened when she opened her eyes and realized that he had stopped kissing her. "I think you have the sweetest lips that I first ever tasted," he said mischievously. "I have nothing in comparison, because just like you, it was my first, and I liked it." Song Dae-si's eyes widened in disbelief. She didn't expect that it was Yan Morty's first kiss experience. "You are bluffing me. With all those girls that you have dated, you've never gone kissing them?" He put his right hand on his left chest where his heart was and made a swear. "Cross my heart." Song Dae-si has bitten the lower part of her lips and smiled at him shyly. "Don't dare to bite your lips like that in front of other males, because you have no idea of how that will make each guy to hug you and give you a kiss. You can only do that in front of me, remember?" She nodded. She looked at her wristwatch and lunch was almost over. "Let's go back." Yan Morty nodded and grabbed her right hand and held it with his. They walked holding hands as they went back to their classroom. For almost 2 months of concealing their relationship even with their closest friends, in their silent ways, they both understood that they were no longer afraid of declaring their love for each other. Right at that very moment they wanted to tell the whole world how they were madly in love. "Madam, are we going to raise another building on this side of the school ground?" Song Dae-si has heard a male voice speaking near her that turned her mind back into the present time. "No. Spare this side of the ground. You cannot touch anything within this vicinity, especially that old oak tree. Understood?" The sound of her voice has made Song Dae-si startled. Even though she was sure of who was the owner of that authoritative voice, she still took a glance on where the voices were coming from, and she saw an aristocratic lady who was being accompanied by 2 men walking in her direction. Before she could stride away, she was caught by Madame Yan's attention. "Song Dae-si?" She greeted her with a smile, but she was greeted back by her sizing look. She had taken her glance away, but why was it that she felt that Madame Yan had never refrained her gaze away from her? "Why are you here?" Madame Yan questioned her. "Aren't you supposed to be at the Yan Enterprise right now?" "Madame Yan, I am on my PTO today," she answered. "You filed for a PTO just to visit Yan High School?" She furrowed her brows when she asked her. She shook her head. "I had an important errand this morning. Since this was on the way to my apartment, I've decided to drop by and take a look at my alma mater," she politely answered. "Are you satisfied with what you have discovered today?" she coldly asked her while looking at their initials being carved at the old oak tree. "Lots of changes have been made since we've graduated from this school, but all for the better. Madame Yan has done a great job in maintaining Yan High School to its glorious state," she answered her in pure honesty and admiration. She knew that Madame Yan was in charge of administering Yan High School, and she was doing a really great job. She received an icy cold look reply from her, and soon she left without saying any more words. Madame Yan was already gone, but the cold atmosphere that she had brought to her senses has never faded away. She was still trembling inside, and she had gotten her balance to keep her from not falling by getting a hold of that old oak tree. She scolded herself while she was helpless trying to get her strength back. Why does Madame Yan's coldness towards her still have the same effect on her after so many years? She has gotten used to it, right? She always received a cold shoulder from Madame Yan since she met her in high school, but why was she still hurting? Why was she still trying hard to give her praises when in return she knew that she will not even appreciate it? She looked at their initials, and before she could hold back the tears from falling, it eventually fell. "Hey, Yan Morty, should I start giving up on you?" Yan Morty was about to leave the office when his phone rang. "Yes, Mum," he answered while he started walking out of his office. "Where are you at?" Madame Yan asked. "In the office, but I'm about to leave." "Good." Meet us at Shangri-La Hotel for dinner. Mum, I can't. I have prior commitment and. Cancel it. She said authoritatively, then hung up. Jan Morty's face turned grim. His mother has never changed. She was still that manipulative ever since. He had no other choice but to cancel his meeting and drove off to Shangri-La to meet his mother. Jan Morty saw his mother chummily chatting to a beautiful woman sitting next to her at the center dining table of the hotel restaurant lobby. He approached them and greeted the both ladies. "It's been a while, Morty," Tan John-in asked him smilingly. He nodded and asked her a question while he took his seat opposite to her. "How have you been these past few days?" "Quite busy. I've moved out from Tan's mansion and started living on my own." "Why?" he curiously asked. "Did something happen at her family's mansion that made her decide to move out?" Maybe I have gotten used to living alone. I've been living independently in New York for 5 years thou." "I see," he said. "I've told her that, when I was her age, I always wanted to move out from my parents' mansion, but don't have the courage to live on my own. Isn't she the bravest soul sitting in here?" Madame Yan put on a big smile when she made those praises to Tan John-in. Jan Morty couldn't beg to disagree. In any way, he also admired Tan John-in's free-spirited personality. "Well, I don't mind living and going back to another mansion again. Maybe I should start working hard to win your heart so I can be that future young miss in the Yan's mansion, right?" she said, giggling. Madame Yan seconded her. "Work fast, my dear, before our young master gets snatched by some other girls." "You are not seriously thinking about that, Tan John-in, right?" he said laughingly, but the tandem of these two ladies made him feel so uncomfortable. "Of course I was just joking," she answered and stopped giggling. "As if I didn't know who owns your heart." Jan Morty smiled and glanced at his mother. He saw a non-expression look from her. Madame Yan excused herself to go to the ladies' room. "Place our orders now," she said to Jan Morty before she left the two at the table. "Is Dad coming?" he asked. "He said he will, but I doubt it," her mother answered him. His parent relationship had been rocky and at the verge of falling out. "Okay then," he answered. "Hey, your mum told me that she saw Song Dae-si at the Yan High School earlier this afternoon," Tan John-in told him as soon as his mother left. "Really?" He said he was surprised by the news. "Yeah, I think she was anxious that you might end up with her, so she called me and asked me for dinner. I think your mum was still hoping that we will ever get together in the end." "And how about you? Are you still hoping?" Tan John-in's eyes widened. "You conceited beast. Of course I have gotten over you," she said. "Now tell me, what's the real score between you and Song Dae-si?" Jan Morty did not respond. "Don't tell me that you haven't progressed yet?" Tan John-in asked him with her chinky eyes rounded in disbelief. He still did not reply. Tan John-in took a deep sigh. "Silly. If you don't move now somebody will," she threatened him. And he was threatened. Song Dae-si's eyes were in wonderland as she saw the bouquet of flowers keep coming into her workplace. The receptionist has just told her that dozens of roses were delivered to her. "Are you sure these flowers were intended to be delivered to me?" she asked the delivery man. "Yes, madam. These flowers are all for you." She counted the dozen bouquets of roses which were perfectly arranged in a marble vase, and if she was not mistaken, the one that she was holding was already at the 12 count, but there were still numbers of roses kept coming in. Those dozens of roses have almost occupied her entire working space. She took the delivery note inserted in between those roses to see who was the sender. "Dear Song Dae-si, may these flowers brighten your day as you always made mine. Sincerely, Lee Jin-ho." She still can't believe it. She looked around at the roses surrounding her, and she still couldn't believe herself. How much did it cost Lee Jin-ho? She was about to call Lee Jin-ho on her cell phone when she saw Jan Morty come out from his private office and was caught in a big surprise when he saw a lot of roses. "What are these roses doing here?" he asked coldly. "Are these yours?" "CEO Yan, my apologies, I didn't expect to receive these numbers of bouquet flowers indeed," she said in a very embarrassed tone. "Who sent you these?" He furrowed his brows. Even though he has a hint of who sent her flowers, he still wanted to receive affirmation from Song Dae-si. "Lee Jin-ho," she said without looking at Yan Morty. "Please send these roses away from this office. I have an allergic reaction," he said and started sneezing. She looked at Yan Morty doubtedly. "When did he develop that allergy?" "Understood," she said and made a hopeless eye. "But can I take these out later when I get home?" "No, take these out now," he said in an annoyed voice. "I want my black coffee in 5 minutes," he said and went back to his office. Yan Morty was fuming mad when he returned to his office. Lee Jin-ho. So he was starting to pursue Song Dae-si, huh? What was he trying to prove? That he was a good catch by showing off that with him, Song Dae-si was going to have a good life and deserving to be treated like a queen? He knew how Song Dae-si loved flowers. She always dreamt of having her own flower farm. Lee Jin-ho has spotted her soft spot by showering her dozens of bouquet flowers. How can he forget? "Hey, Yan Morty, can we go to the mailing farm this weekend? I want to see those blooming flowers personally," Song Dae-si said to him during one of their afternoon breaks. "At the flower farm?" he deliberately asked. He has an allergic reaction to flowers, and getting near them makes him sneeze. "Yeah, I always dream of having my own flower farm, so taking a trip into one will be a dream come true for me. Can we go please?" she said in a very sweet voice. He found her cute to see when Song Dae-si flickered her eyes and clung her slender arms into his while leaning her head to his left shoulder like a little kid asking her father to buy her favorite candy. He doesn't have a heart to break her wish, even if that means that going to a flower farm may kill him. "All right then, let's go this weekend." "Thank you, young master. You are the best boyfriend ever." "Then give me my reward then," he said toyingly. Song Dae-si immediately reached for his cheek and kissed him. While Song Dae-si was still ecstatic on how the flower farm would look, he was thinking on how many epinephrine shots he would inject to his body. Song Dae-si was also feeling agitated when she looked at the flowers around her working space. When did Yan Morty develop his allergy to roses? She could still remember that they went into Mailing Farm when they were in their senior high. Does Yan Morty fake his allergy just to annoy her? But can someone fake a sneeze? She saw how Yan Morty kept on sneezing until he went back to his office. There was a commotion happening in front of the office bulletin board and Song Dae-si couldn't help but check on what was being posted there. Her eyes widened in disbelief when she saw a memo prohibiting employees from bringing or receiving flowers in the office. The memo was being ordered by the office of the CEO. "Sister Dae-si, don't you think this memo was a bit unreasonable?" one of her colleagues asked her. She saw disappointment on her rounded face. She wanted to agree with her statement, but she defended Yan Morty. "I think the CEO will not be giving this order without considering much thought. No, he ordered this in an instant when he found out that someone had sent you flowers. He must be jealous." The same employee pouted her lips and threw a tantrum when she got back to her working area. Song Dae-si was stunned. Is there any truth behind her colleague's statement? Was he just jealous? She needs to find out. She knocked at the CEO's private office and she saw Yan Morty was looking for something in his drawer. "What are you looking at?" she asked. "I'm looking for my medicine against allergy shock. Can you help me find it?" he said in between sneezing. Song Dae-si was terrified when she saw Yan Morty's condition. His lips were now swollen. "Are you sure you are okay? Let me bring you to the nearest hospital please," she said in a worried tone. "Did you already send those roses out?" "Yes, I did. Those have been re-delivered to my home address. Now can we go ahead to the nearest clinic please?" Yan Morty agreed. They walked out of his private office and went to the car park to make a trip to the nearest hospital. "When did you develop your allergy on flowers?" she asked Yan Morty after he had been given an injection shot against allergy shock. He was lying in the hospital suite while his allergy shock was still under observation. "Since I was a kid," he shortly answered. "We made a trip to a flower farm when we were in our senior high. If you knew it by then that your allergy on flowers may attack, why did you take that crucial risk? I saw how excited you were to make that trip into the flower farm, so how can I let you down?" "Silly." She chided Yan Morty for not telling her before. If something had happened bad to Yan Morty during that time, she cannot forgive herself. "You should have told me." "Nothing bad had happened to me anyway," he said smugly. "Thank you for the epinephrine shots that I've injected before making that trip. Thank you for loving me that much back then," she said emotionally, looking intently at Yan Morty. Yan Morty was stunned. Yes, he was that silly boy who will do everything just to make his girl happy. "That silly boy has gone away," he said. Song Dae-si nodded. "Yes, that silly boy that loved her so much has been long gone. Sister Dae-si, I have heard the news that CEO Yan has an allergy shock, and I apologize for thinking that the no flower ban memo was made out of jealousy." That same colleague of hers approached her when she returned to the office late in the afternoon. "Yan Morty has been discharged and is now resting at the mansion." She just smiled at her. "I made my lessons here. Next time I won't be giving out my judgment so easily." Her colleague has acknowledged that she was wrong. She nodded and excused herself as she needed to keep up with her emails. She was browsing her emails when her phone rang. Lee Jin-ho's name appeared on the screen. She apologetically answered the call. "Hello, Lee Jin-ho." "Hello, Song Dae-si. I just wanted to check if you have received the flowers I sent to your office this morning." "Yes, I did. I was about to call you when I received it this morning, but I have attended to an urgent matter and wasn't able to make that call. Thank you for sending those flowers, but is it possible not to send any of those again here in the office?" she politely asked. "Why?" She heard disappointment in Lee Jin-ho's voice. "Don't think that I don't like it. I love flowers a lot, but CEO Yan has an allergic reaction to flowers, and we had to make a trip to the hospital because of his allergy shock," she explained. "Oh," he exclaimed in a worried voice. "Is he okay?" "Yes, his allergy has subsided and he was just resting at the mansion now." Long silence. "I am sorry, Jin-ho, but I will need to end this call now. I was out almost the whole day as I took care of CEO Yan in the hospital, and I am keeping up with my workload now." "Understood. If you're no longer busy, I will ask you for a dinner date, or I can make a trip tomorrow in your office so we can have lunch." "Okay then. Bye for now." Lee Jin-ho has ended his call with a heavy heart. He knew that pursuing Song Dae-si will not going to be that easy, especially if Yan Morty was around. Since high school, Song Dae-si's attention was always on Yan Morty. She doted on him, so much to the point that she has given up her dreams of pursuing a degree in Oxford. She has been offered a full-time scholarship, but did not accept it and decided to stay in China because Yan Morty will be studying his collegiate course there. She said as he vividly remembered, "Yan Morty needs me here. I can't leave him in his most fragile state." "Even if that means flying off your Oxford dream away?" he asked. She nodded and bowed her head. How he envied Yan Morty, because he has his dream girl's affection. That bastard didn't know how lucky he was to have Song Dae-si in his life. He will trade places with him, if that means that Song Dae-si will be staying with him like she did with Yan Morty until now. Song Dae-si was looking at the bouquet of flowers lying in their living room when Song Mingxing tapped her shoulder and sat next to her. I guess my daughter has caught a big fish who can afford to send these flowers. I wonder how much these have cost the guy. Is he someone that I know, or a new admirer of yours?" "It's from Lee Jin-ho." Song Mingxing looked at her surprised. Has he returned to the country already? Yes, and he will be staying here for good. Is he pursuing you? I believe so. Will you give him a chance? Song Daisy looked at her father. Do you think it's about time to give other guys a chance? Li Jinho is such a nice guy. If you're gonna end up with him, I don't have any objection. Song Mingxing has given his honest opinion. But of course I always wanted to see you happy. And happiness for her spells Yan Morty's name. But he no longer cares. Think about it, my child, if you know that it's about time to give up on that unrequited love, go ahead. You have my full support, Song Mingxing said. She said as she lightly acknowledged his advice. Song Mingxing looked at his wristwatch. It's past 9 p.m. already, I need to hit the sack now. You too, sleep early tonight. She nodded. Song Mingxing walked his way to his bedroom. She was left pondering his advice. Yan Morty was her first love, and she wanted him to be her last. She'd been in love with him since she was 16 years old. And she knew that her heart had never grown old. Is she ready to finally let him go? Song Daisy has turned off the lights in her bedroom and switched on the lampshade from her bedside table when her phone screen blinked. A text message was received from Li Jinho. Still up? Yeah, but I'm about to sleep in a while. Why? She typed in her message and pressed the send button. Can I drop by at your house tomorrow morning and send you off to work? Why? I just wanted to get some good vibes by being with you first thing in the morning. She smiled. Sure. Pick me up at 6 a.m. See you then. Good night. She set her alarm clock at 4:30 a.m., then dozed off herself. Good morning, Li Jinho greeted Song Daisy with a smile. He looked so dashing on his khaki pants and white tee under his black cardigan. Good morning, she greeted him back with a smile too. Li Jinho opened the passenger's door for her. Thank you. She entered his car and put on her seatbelt as she sat in the passenger seat. Why are you coming to the office this early? Li Jinho asked her when he settled in the driver's seat. CEO Yan came to the office as early as 7 a.m., so I wanted to ensure that I will be there as early as 6:30 a.m. Li Jinho nodded and started the engine. What time do you usually go home? 5 p.m. Can I pick you up and drive you home by then? He stepped on the gas and started to speed off. Isn't that troublesome for you? She asked. Nah. Please take advantage of me as your chauffeur-driver while I am still not busy, he said toyingly. What a good-looking chauffeur I have then. I must have done something good in my past life to deserve this. She jokingly said. It's my pleasure to be of service, Madam. Li Jinho showed his pearly white teeth when he said that. She giggled. Can we drop by at the nearest cafe first to have breakfast? She nodded. If you arrived late and Morty was already at the office, what would be the repercussions? He is going to make his own coffee, she said giggling. So you came in early just to prepare his morning coffee. How lucky that bastard can get, huh? Song Daisy just replied to him with a smile. Work for me then. I will double your salary. You don't need to come to the office early. Just pour a coffee for me at my house before I go to work. Be my wife. Song Daisy deliberately looked at Li Jinho, and he was serious. His face was so darn serious. Is he proposing? I'm expensive. You can't afford my salary as your wife. She took it as a joke and replied lightly. I'm willing to give you all my fortune, Li Jinho replied. Just give me a chance. Li Jinho, I'm willing to wait, she did not reply. If she can just tell her heart to love him back. But her heart only beats for one person. Do you still love him? She did not respond, but her silence told him everything. He is one lucky guy, Li Jinho murmured, and made a deep sigh. Make sure he reciprocates your feelings. If not, I will do my best to snatch your heart away. Yan Morty stepped on the brake of his Audi R8 V10 when he saw Song Dae-si alighted at Lee Jin-ho's sports car. His car arrived next to him. His heart drumped so fast when he saw her waved at him with a big smile on her face before she entered the Yan Enterprise Hall. This Lee Jin-ho guy was serious about snatching Song Dae-si away from him, and he did not like it. Lee Jin-ho's car has sped off, and yet he cannot move out of his car. He felt dumbfounded. Yan Morty was still not on his normal self when he passed by Song Dae-si's desk. He was in a deep thought as he walked through his private office. Song Dae-si greeted him, but he did not respond. He was still caught in a trance. Song Dae-si followed him at his private office. "CEO Yan, do you want me to pour your coffee now?" He looked at the woman in front of him. She gave him a blank stare. "Let's have breakfast," he said as he put down his bag. "I'm done." His face emitted coldness, and his brows were knitted next to each other. "If you're hungry, I can buy you some pastries at the nearest cafe." "No need. Just pour my coffee. No sugar." Yan Morty busied himself and did not try to walk out of his office the whole morning. He did not bother to disturb Song Dae-si. It is almost lunchtime, and Yan Morty has never asked her to buy him some lunch. What is this guy up to? It is very unusual of him not to ask her for anything. She looked at her wristwatch and it was almost 12 noon. She went to Yan Morty's private office to ask him what he wanted for lunch. "I made a reservation for 2 at the Shangri-La Hotel. Prepare yourself. We're leaving in a few minutes," Yan Morty told her instead. She looked at him surprised. Are they going out for a lunch date? She could hear her heart drumped very fast. Yan Morty was unusually quiet while they were having their meal. Song Dae-si threw glances while trying to analyze his action this morning. He looked at him intently, and his handsome face seemed to be bothered. She was about to open up a conversation when Yan Morty put down his utensils and eyed her. "Song Dae-si, does your offer still stand?" he asked in a low, cold voice. "Offer?" she asked, puzzled. "You said you want to get pregnant soon. Do you still want me to be the father of your child?" Her jaw dropped. Why all of a sudden he was bringing this subject up? He was looking at her intently, waiting for her answer. She nodded. "Are you backing out?" she nervously asked. "Why would I?" he answered. "If you're thinking of someone else to be the father of your child, forget it," he said angrily. "Let me remind you, we already have an agreement, so stop entertaining somebody else." Her jaw dropped again. "Hey, are we not going back to the office yet?" she asked Yan Morty when she noticed that they were not taking the road back to Yan Enterprise. "Not yet. We need to register our marriage at the Civil Affairs office first," he said casually. What? Did she hear it clearly? "I don't want our child to be made out of wedlock." "Who would want an illegitimate child?" Yan Morty told her. "But it's now or never." Her face fell and looked at him dumbfounded. Yan Morty was nervously waiting for Song Dae-si's response. If she will reject him, he doesn't know where to pick up his broken heart. This was not his idea of proposing to her, but she left him with no choice. He took this opportunity to make her his even if it's not the ideal way. He may be cunning, but he was so scared to ask her if she wanted to be his woman again. What a day. I received 2 proposals from 2 people whom I don't have a relationship with. The first one I have just rejected, and the other one has given me an ultimatum. Song Dae-si's frustration cannot be hidden. I just wish at least one of you has prepared a ring. Yan Morty looked at her and saw the frustration in her eyes. He took out a small box from the compartment of his car. "This is an heirloom that my mother gave me when I graduated from college. She said this has been passed on to the woman of Yan's household. It is a valuable ring that only belonged to the madam of the family for several generations. She was the last owner of this ring, but it is about time to pass it on to its new owner. You." Song Dae-si looked at the emerald ring flashing through her own eyes. She was tongue-tied and was totally in a complete daze. Will you take good care of this ring from today's onward? Yan Morty took out the emerald ring from the box and put it on her slender ring finger. Song Dae-si felt she choked on her own words. She cannot say anything. She felt her whole body trembling. Is this for real? Is she going to be the new young madam of Yan's family? She secretly pinched her face to check that she's not dreaming. She quietly nodded and took another glance at the emerald ring on her finger, so she wasn't able to see that sign of relief from Yan Morty's face. When she looked at him, his face was now relaxed, and she saw that his eyes were glistening. And before she could utter any words, Yan Morty moved closer to her and gave her an earth-shattering kiss. Tears have rolled down her cheeks. He could feel the tears flown from Song Dae-si's eyes roll down on his own lips. He suddenly stopped kissing her. When he looked at her with tears flowing freely on her face, while her eyes still closed, he tenderly wiped them with his thumbs. Song Dae-si opened her eyes, and she saw Yan Morty's handsome face looking directly into hers. Hold on tight, Xiaoxi. I promise to take good care of you and our future children. Just hold on tight and just let me be. How he wanted to say these words to her to ease her pain, but still he can only utter these words at the back of his mind. He had promised her he would never appear in front of her again asking her to love him. He promised to forget her anyway. He promised. Song Dae-si couldn't read what's on his mind, but she could sense the uneasy feeling that Yan Morty was emitting from his face. How she felt sorry for putting him into this mess. She had a choice of letting him out of the hook. But she still has chosen and dragged him. She said to him that she had never loved him, but why did she stay with him anyway? Song Dae-si affixed her signature at the marriage certificate in front of her. There you go, she was now officially Mrs. Yan, and there was no turning back. From today's onward, she will fulfill her role as his lawfully wedded wife. Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Yan. The civil affairs officer has congratulated them. May your union be blissful and bless you with beautiful offspring. Thank you, Officer Min. I will send you an invitation when we celebrate our union months from now. Yan Morty smiled at him. We will be taking our leave now. He held Song Dae-si's hand when they left the government office building. Please keep our marriage certificate. He gave Song Dae-si the original copy. Did you say we're going to celebrate our union months from now? She asked him while they made their exit out of the building. Yan Morty nodded. Isn't it the right thing to do? Am I going to live at the mansion? Of course. You are my wife now, so you have to live with me. Her beautiful face was clouded with some wavering thoughts. If she will be living at the mansion, she will have to see Madame Yan every day. But the mansion was so big that she might not bump into her. That gave her a sigh of relief. And how about her dad? Who would look after him? Are you worried that you will leave your dad alone in your apartment? Yan Morty asked. She looked at him and nodded. She suddenly felt that he held her hand tightly. Don't worry. We will visit him regularly. We have to work double time so we can give him a grandchild whom he can play with. Yan Morty teasingly smiled at her. That made her face turn crimson. Her heart was flushed with overflowing happiness that she can't explain. Yan Morty was still holding her hand until they reached the car park. He opened the passenger's door for her before he went to the driver's seat. We're not going back to the office for the remainder of the day. I'll help you pick up your belongings from your apartment so you can already move in at the mansion tonight. He told her while he moved closer to help her fasten her seatbelt. She looked at him with worried expression. Do I need to move in tonight? Why not? Isn't the wife supposedly living together with her husband? I am not emotionally ready yet. This is so sudden. She honestly told him what she felt. Can you give me a little more time before I move into the mansion? He looked at her coldly. Okay, I'll let you sleep in your apartment tonight, but you need to move into the mansion tomorrow. Song Dae-si, you are my wife now, so you have to live with me. Understood. She told him and bowed her head. I'll pick up your belongings tonight, he said as he started off the engine. I also wanted to ask for your father's blessing. I know I should have asked his blessing first before the registration took place." Song Dae-si nodded. Song Mingxing wasn't in the apartment yet when they arrived. She went directly to her bedroom to prepare her belongings to be transferred to Yan's mansion. Yan Morty has insisted on helping her. "Are you going to bring all these clothes? Why don't you dispose of them, and let's buy new ones instead?" Yan Morty asked her as he helped her transfer all her clothes from her closet to her luggages. "These clothes are still in good condition. I can still wear them." Yan Morty shrugged his shoulders and continued on transferring her clothes. "Are we going to bring this as well?" he said as he picked up her underwear garment. She blushed when she saw that Yan Morty was holding her panty, and she deliberately took it from him. Yan Morty laughed. "Why were you so shy when I held that?" She gave him a sullen glance as she tried to put her undergarments to the luggages all at once. While Song Dae-si put her undergarments at the luggages, Yan Morty can't help but imagine how it looks when his wife only wears the panty that he was holding earlier. He suddenly smiled mischievously at his kinky thoughts. "What's on your mind?" Song Dae-si asked in annoyance. "Nothing," he said as he tried to hide what he was thinking. "Can you lend me a hand and give me the silver box inside that drawer?" Yan Morty took the silver box inside her closet drawer, and when he saw that it was a padlock, he curiously asked her, "What's inside the silver box?" "Inside that box are the love letters that you have given me when we were in high school." "Ooh," he said as he was surprised to know that she still kept those love letters. Then he suddenly started laughing when he remembered what had been written on those letters. His declaration of love and undying admiration for Song Dae-si. "Oh, how I love thee." He passed on the silver box to Song Dae-si. When she was about to put it in the luggage, he asked her, "Can I read those love letters once again?" Song Dae-si raised her one brow. "And why do you want to read these letters again? These are mine." "But I was the one who gave you those letters, so partly it also belongs to me." Song Dae-si slightly agreed. "Have you forgotten all those words that were written, so you like to reread them to refresh your memory?" "No, I just wanted to validate if those words that I mentioned in those letters were true and not exaggerated," he said teasingly. Song Dae-si pinched him. "You arrogant beast." Yan Morty laughed as he tried to stop Song Dae-si from pinching him. "I'm not gonna give you the key. Then I'll start searching for that key," Yan Morty said as he started to search for the box key. "I'm pretty sure I can find it somewhere here." Song Dae-si rolled her eyes. She took out a small key from her purse and gave it to him. "Here, for your reading pleasure." Yan Morty made a wide grin as he took the key from her and excitedly opened the silver box. He was about to pick up the first letter from the box when they heard Song Mingxing's voice from the living room. "Song Dae-si, are you home?" he asked. "Yes, Dad, I'm here in my bedroom," she answered. They heard his footsteps towards her bedroom. Song Mingxing was a bit shocked when he saw Yan Morty inside her daughter's room. "Why is there a lot of luggages here? Are you going overseas on a business trip with him?" Song Mingxing asked. Song Dae-si looked at Yan Morty trying to ask for help on how to answer her father's question. Yan Morty acknowledged it and went to Song Mingxing's direction. "Uncle Sheng, can I talk to you for a while?" he politely asked. Song Mingxing looked at Yan Morty with a lot of questions in his eyes. Then nodded and strides out to the living room. Yan Morty followed him. Song Dae-si was left in her bedroom and closed the silver box and put it inside the luggage. While she continues transferring her belongings to her luggages, her mind is wondering of the ongoing conversation that Yan Morty and her father is having at the living room. She has already finished with what she was doing, but Yan Morty and Song Mingxing haven't stopped talking to each other yet. She took a glance at them in a slightly open door of her bedroom and saw that they were seriously discussing. She oftenly caught Yan Morty nodding in what Song Mingxing had told him. She tried to come closer so she could hear their conversation, but decided not to eavesdrop. She went to the kitchen instead and looked at the fridge to check what she could prepare for dinner. She took out some chicken meat and vegetables from the fridge and started to prepare some chicken veggie salad. She started to marinate the chicken with pepper and squeeze a drop of lemon when her phone rang. It was Lee Jin-ho who was calling from the other line. "Hello, Jin-ho." She answered the call as she sprinkled some thyme on the chicken. She heard Lee Jin-ho's excited voice. "I'm already here at your office lobby. Are you done with your work now?" Song Dae-si suddenly remembered that Lee Jin-ho will pick her up to send her home. It has slipped her mind, so she apologetically answered him, "I'm sorry Lee Jin-ho, something came up this afternoon that I need to come home early. I have forgotten to inform you not to pick me up. I'm already home." "Oh," he said in a worried tone. He knew Song Dae-si would not stand him up if the matter that she had attended to was not important. "Is everything okay back home?" She felt the concern on Lee Jin-ho's voice, and that made her feel more guilty. She doesn't know how to tell him that she married somebody else on the same day that she rejected his marriage proposal. She doesn't have the heart to hurt him that much. "Yeah, everything's fine," she told him to ease his worries. "What's for dinner? Are you trying to showcase your cooking skills to me now?" A curious voice from Yan Morty that came from behind his bin heard. She almost dropped her phone as she was surprised by his sudden appearance. "Is that Yan Morty?" She could hear Lee Jin-ho's voice asking her questions. She said in a very low voice. "Does the important thing that you've done this afternoon have something to do with him?" She did not respond. She suddenly felt that Yan Morty had grabbed her waist from behind. "That chicken looks so inviting," he said as he clung his chin on her shoulder as he wrapped her from his embrace. "I guess you're busy. I'll just call you some other time," Lee Jin-ho said in disappointment. "Okay," she said and pressed the end button when he said goodbye from the other line. "Who called you?" Yan Morty curiously asked. "It was Lee Jin-ho." She honestly told him as there's no use of denying it. Yan Morty knitted his eyebrows. Why did he call? She was hesitant if she would tell him the reason, as this may stir him up knowing how bad his temper was, but decided to be honest with him anyway. "He was supposed to pick me up at the office to send me home." As expected, he received a cold look from Yan Morty. "Have you told him not to bother you anymore because you're a married woman now?" "Not yet," she nervously answered him. "Do you have any plans of telling him?" She could feel that Yan Morty was trying to suppress his temper. She nodded. "Then do it sooner," he said commandingly. She said and tried to get away from his embrace. Yan Morty felt a sharp pain from his heart, knowing that Song Dae-si was trying to hide the truth and her current civil status to Lee Jin-ho. It was almost 6 p.m. when she had finished preparing food for dinner. She felt accomplished as she also made a steamboat soup. She really loves to cook and always dreamt of opening up her own restaurant, but she had to put it aside and decided to do a desk job instead. She had realized how much she had given up just to stay with Yan Morty and be his pillar as he reached the top. She had no regrets with all her decisions, but if she will be given a chance to fulfill her dreams one day, she is more than willing to do it. But is it still possible to run a restaurant given her current status right now? She needs to fulfill her new role as the young madam in Yan's household. Soon enough her life will revolve around Yan Morty and will start building their own family. "What can you say about your wife's cooking skill?" Song Mingxing asked his new son-in-law as they were seated at the dining table. "Great. She could pass as a top-notch chef," he exclaimed. "How did you learn how to cook?" "By the help of all the cooking shows," she grinned. "She loves to cook every day for our dinner. She also tries to create her own recipe. I became her food tasting judge, so I have tasted all her good, bad and ugly recipes." Song Mingxing laughed as he shared this bit of information with Yan Morty. "But she's really good at this craft now, isn't it? She also loves to put up her own restaurant someday." "Dad," she chided him in embarrassment, and she shyly looked at Yan Morty and she saw an amusement on his face. Do you want to enroll in one of the cooking classes here in China to further nurture your cooking skill? Yan Morty suddenly asked her. Her eyes were widened in disbelief. Will you allow me to enroll in a cooking school? Why not? You have all the liberty to do all you want. Even if that means I need to spare some time to attend the cooking class. I have an 8-hour desk job, and that will not be possible unless I enrolled a class on a weekend. Mrs. Yan, you are no longer my full-time assistant from here on. I'll hire a new assistant to help me with office paperworks. You can just stay at home if you want. Nah, I'll get bored. She opposed it. Then fulfill your dreams of putting up your own restaurant. Her face was beaming with happiness and can't help but embrace Yan Morty. Is that it? Yan Morty asked her to wait to get more rewards. She has him only to realize that they were in front of her father. I didn't see anything. Song Mingxing laughed as he teased them. She looked at her father and shyly smiled. They had finished their dinner and were sitting comfortably in the living room watching the evening news when she heard their doorbell ring. Do you expect any visitors today, Dad? She asked Song Mingxing. That could be Butler Min. Yan Morty suddenly chimed in. Butler Min? She asked puzzledly. I've asked him to bring some of my clothes. I'm planning to stay and sleep here tonight. She looked at him in disbelief. I've invited him to stay here tonight. Where on earth did you see a newlywed couple living apart on their first night? Song Mingxing explained. This is the most important night for husband and wife, her father teasingly smiled as he told her. Her jaw dropped. Since when her father became their matchmaker? Go open the door for Butler Min, and I'll go and take a rest at my room now, Song Mingxing ordered her. Son-in-law, please take good care of her tonight. Song Mingxing winked at Yan Morty as he started to leave them at the living room. He gave him an okay sign. Song Daisy rolled her eyes and stood up to open the door. Young madam, young master called me to bring him some clothes, Butler Min told her when she opened the door for him. She was startled when she heard how he addressed her. Does Yan Morty tell him that he has married her? She knew how close Yan Morty was to Butler Min. He grew up treating him like his own father, so it wasn't impossible that he already shared this major event in his life with him. Thanks, Butler Min. Please come in so you can have some evening tea, she said as she took Yan Morty's clothes from Butler Min. Butler Min smiled at her and politely said, Thank you for your generosity, but I need to leave now. I just dropped by his clothes. She nodded and waved him goodbye as he left. She went back to the living room to hand over the clothes to Yan Morty. Have you told Butler Min that we're already married? She asked him. He said, and did not look at her. He was so focused while watching the evening news. She took a glance at the TV and saw the close-up view of Time Min. She was so beautiful on the TV screen. She is one of the famous celebrities in the country today that Yan Morty has dated. She felt a little jealous as she saw Yan Morty attentively watching the news about her. I'm going to the bedroom now, she said and left the clothes on the sofa. Let's go together then, Yan Morty told her and switched off the TV, took his clothes from the sofa, and did not bother to finish the evening news. Before she could utter any words, Yan Morty stood up and put his arm over her shoulder as they walked together to her bedroom. Aren't you supposed to finish the news about Time Min? She said to him in a cold voice. Why do I sense jealousy in your voice? Yan Morty teasingly asked her. She knitted her eyebrows. I am not jealous. You shouldn't be, Morty told her. As soon as they reach inside her bedroom, Yan Morty ensures that the door is locked and looks at her with a wide grin. Why are you smiling like that? She annoyingly asked. Yan Morty suddenly carried her, which made her scream. Yan Morty. You jerk, put me down, she said and tried to get away from him. Sure then, Yan Morty told her and pinned her down to her bed. She was surprised when he also laid down on top of her. Yan Morty, what are you doing? She asked nervously. His face was only an inch close to her. She can feel his warm breath against her bare face. "Do I have to tell it straight into your face?" Yan Morty annoyingly answered her. "I'm going to do what the husband should do on the first night." Her eyes widened in disbelief. "I have to claim what is rightfully mine," he said mischievously. She can't help but give him an inviting smile. That flirtatious smile from Song Dae-si made Yan Morty fueled with fire. He kissed her passionately on her lips, and his tongue explored inside her mouth. His lips just drifted from her when he felt that he would be running out of breath. He started exploring down to her neck. He started unbuttoning her top so he can explore more. His hands have also started roaming down to his wife's body. He started caressing her thigh, while his lips continued to taste her down to the tip of her exposed breast. He tugged her bra and that gave him full access to her well-rounded boobs. He paused for a while and couldn't help but admire her beauty. His hands moved to her breast and started caressing it. "Beautiful," he said to her hoarsely, and then his mouth toyed her pink nipples. He slowly touches every part of Song Dae-si's body and looked at them intently, trying to memorize every bit of it. Song Dae-si started to moan and that aroused him more. He could feel his manhood has started to react. He started kissing down her navel and put his hands inside her panty so he could grab more. He suddenly felt that Song Dae-si stiffened, so he started kissing her passionately in her lips again until she felt relaxed. He had to do it slowly with her as he knew that everything that he did to her was all foreign to her. He wanted her to feel ready with herself and gave her body voluntarily to her before he could enter her. "Yan Morty," she said in between moans. He couldn't count the times she whispered his name as he started to kiss her down to her private part. He pulled down his pants and positioned himself on top of her. When he tried to enter her, she screamed in pain, so he slowly stopped. "It's going to be painful at first, but everything will be all right," he whispered to her ear to make her feel comfortable and at ease. He tried to fuel her desire again before he tried to thrust his manhood inside of her. She lifted her hips against him and wanted to envelope him as much as she could. "Oh God!" Yan Morty exclaimed when he entered her. Song Dae-si grabbed his hair and cried his name while he thrusts at her. He can't count the times he shouted her name. Before the last thrust he whispered to her, "You're mine. All mine. I'm all yours," she said with assurance. Song Dae-si was awakened by the ray of sunlight from her bedroom window. When she opened her eyes, what she saw was Yan Morty's handsome face. He was lying next to her. Her head was on top of her husband's chest. His arms embracing her felt like home. She can't help but smile. She started imagining how good it could be to wake up next to him every day. Her heart was filled with happiness. Her face flushed when she vividly remembered the glorious night they shared together. She could still feel that the lower part of her was still sore. He was right when he said that it was painful at first thrust, but as soon her body has adjusted into his, all she could feel was a total bliss. Now she was completely his. And he was completely hers. She looked at his lips and couldn't help but give him a quick smack. She had drifted her lips away from him when she felt that Yan Morty's body had started moving and pulled her body closer to him. "I didn't know that my wife loves to steal kisses from me. Just make sure that when you do, that I am not half awake," Yan Morty told her in a hoarse voice. She blushed in embarrassment. "Now let me take back that kiss that you stole from me." Yan Morty has started kissing her and positioned himself on top of her. She felt a bit surprised as she started to feel his manhood brushing against her naked body. "Hey, what are you doing?" "Claiming back my dignity because I was kissed while I was half awake and without my permission." Song Dae-si's eyes widened in disbelief. "Is it impolite to kiss my husband every time I want it?" she asked annoyingly. "Wow, I didn't expect my wife to be this shameless after a great night that we shared on this bed." She pouted her lips and Yan Morty started to laugh teasingly. "But I like it when you're bold like this. I'm all yours, sweetheart." "Sweetheart?" That gave her heart high hopes that Jan Morty still cares for her. He used to call her sweetheart back when they were in grade school. HMP, she said as she tried to push him away, but Jan Morty refused to let her go and stayed on top of her. Let's do another round, wifey. Aren't you going to have your breakfast? You're my breakfast anyway, he said, grinning like a kid who has tasted the sweetest candy and can't get enough of it. When Jan Morty has started showering her some morning kisses, she can't help but to oblige. It was past 2 p.m. when Song Dae-si opened her eyes and realized that she fell asleep after their morning lovemaking. She felt so exhausted and couldn't move her body as it was sore. She looked at the other side of her bed, and Jan Morty wasn't there. He may have gone to the office, she mumbled. She tried to rise up from the bed when the door suddenly opened. Jan Morty was striding inside her bedroom holding a food tray. "Good afternoon, sweetheart. Did you sleep well?" he said as he approached her. "Haven't you gone to the office?" she said surprisingly. "Why would I? We are still on our honeymoon stage, and do you expect me to leave you here? How cheap our honeymoon is. I've always thought my honeymoon will be spent in a beach." "Then let's go to the beach then," Jan Morty told her. "I was just teasing you. But I want to spend a whole week with you on the beach. Let's go to Amampulo then." Amampulo? Her eyes widened in excitement. "Is that an island in the Philippines?" Jan Morty nodded. "But before we fly out, please have breakfast in bed first. Fully prepared by yours truly." "You sure you prepared this?" she asked in disbelief. But when she saw that her sunny side egg was half burned, she couldn't help but laughed and told him, "Okay, I'm convinced." Jan Morty gave him a cold look. Song Dae-si was surprised when she found out that Jan Morty had already booked a flight to the Philippines. "When did you plan this?" she curiously asked. "While you were sleeping." Song Dae-si snuggles him as she pleases. "Let's start packing then," she said excitedly. Jan Morty nodded. He loves to see his wife's face overflowing with happiness. He felt happy too. If he could give the whole world to her, he definitely would. Song Dae-si and Jan Morty were in awe when they set their foot on the fine white sand beaches of Amampulo. A private plane took them to this private island from Manila. It landed on Pamalacan Island, where the resort was located. They were welcomed by the resort manager. "Welcome to Amampulo, Mr. and Mrs. Yan. We hope you will enjoy your stay here. On this way, please." They were guided to the golf cart, and the resort staff drove them off to the resort. As soon as they reached the resort, they were guided to their private casita. The casitas were located far from each other, and before you reach another casita, you have to drive a golf cart with you. Their casita can be compared to a standard bungalow with a huge room. As soon as the resort staff left them alone, Song Dae-si went to Jan Morty and hugged him. "This is awesome, hubby. How much did it cost you to bring us to this beautiful island? This place is quite expensive, but all worth it, right?" he said and kissed her on the lips. After they shared a sweet short kiss, she started roaming around the casita. Their casita was situated near the beachfront, but they still couldn't have a glimpse of it as they were surrounded by thick foliage. They had changed into their beachwear and rested first. They took an almost 5-hour flight from Beijing to Manila and took another hour from Manila to Pamalacan Island. They easily succumb to the peaceful environment and sleep in a nuzzle position. Song Dae-si woke up after she had slept for almost 3 hours and realized that the sun is about to set. She looked at the man lying next to him and can still hear him snoring and in a deep sleep. She decided not to woke him up. She rose up and went outside. She looked at the surroundings and she could hear the sounds of the waves from where she stood. She had the urge to walk from the casita and see the shore. No soul was on site as she roamed around the area. She can help but admire the beauty of the powdery sands and the shallow clear waters. She felt guilty that she didn't wake Jan Morty up. She wanted to see this beautiful scenery with him. She lied down on the powdery sands and looked up to the sky and thanked God for giving her so much more. Her heart is full. When Yan Morty woke up and couldn't see Song Dae-si anywhere in the casita, he felt worried. He took out his phone from his pocket to call her, but realized that no signal was found in casita. Where did my wife go? He asked himself. He suddenly felt fear. He went outside and started to look for his wife. He couldn't see a single soul in sight, and the place started to be embraced by darkness. He switched the flashlight on from his mobile and started to walk to the beach area. Song Dae-si, he shouted. There was no response. He looked around, but no Song Dae-si was on site. He was now freaking worried. Song Dae-si, as soon as I see you, I will strangle you to death, he said out in frustration. His heart has never beaten that fast because of fear. Song Dae-si was organizing her swimwear and her luggage when Yan Morty snapped at her, "Hey, are you going to wear that skimpy two-piece at the beach?" She looked at him and nodded. Don't you have anything which is not too revealing? What's wrong with this? It is normal to wear this swimwear at the beach. Yeah, but it is too revealing. I don't want to see some other guy feasting on your body. That's only for my viewing pleasure, Yan Morty told her as he shyly giggled. She looked at him surprised and realized that he has always been conservative. She suddenly remembered when he tried to cover her body when they went out for a swimming party with their classmate on senior high. Yan Morty was surprised to see her wearing a one-piece bathing suit and ordered her to wear his beach shorts. She was annoyed because she felt so outcast when all her female classmates were wearing bikinis, but the feeling of wearing his beach shorts made it feel so homey. She sighed. Okay then, I'll bring some one-piece. Perfect. He smiled at her, showing his pearl teeth, then her heart melted. Are you excited? She smiled at him and said yeah. She hasn't been to the beach for a long time, and the thought of visiting Amanpulo and to stay there for 1 week with him excites her more. Yan Morty has just finished his call with his father before they enter the departure gate. What did he say? She asked him. He had no choice. He needs to oversee Yan Enterprise while I'm away. Did you tell him about us? Yes. What was his reaction? He wasn't surprised at all. She knitted her brows. Really? We're not in a relationship and then suddenly we got married, why was he not surprised at all? He will be more surprised if you have married somebody else. She was about to ask him a follow-up question when they heard the announcement for the last call to onboard all the passengers on their flight going to the Philippines. Let's hurry before we miss our flight, Yan Morty told her and grabbed her hand. She walked fast with him and has forgotten to ask him more questions. As he was helplessly looking for his wife, he realized that the feeling he had right at that very moment was almost the same frightened emotion he had 10 years ago. He was so scared when Song Dae-si left her one fateful Saturday rainy night. That same feeling that he may not be able to see her again. A train of thoughts flashes back. Let's break up, Song Dae-si told him 10 years ago. He wasn't sure if he heard her, right, so he asked her. What did you say? Let's break up. She said it again with conviction. Why? He panikedly asked. Have I done something wrong? He couldn't think of anything. He has been a good boy and never got involved in any trouble these last few days. He had been a doting boyfriend to her, but why all of a sudden she wanted to break up? Song Dae-si answered him, you are not my ideal boyfriend. You're a troublemaker and I was trying to change. Haven't you noticed it? I'm trying my best to get myself out of trouble. Please don't break up with me, he said and took a grip of her hands. She looked at him and saw that frightened look on his face. She took her gaze away from him. I have already decided. It is better if we break up. No. I don't want to. You're not the only person who can decide for this relationship. I'm not giving you up. Morty, don't make it hard for both of us. I want to be out of this relationship, so let me be. Have you fallen out of love with me? Yan Morty asked her. No, she answered, I haven't fallen out of love with you because I haven't been in love with you in the first place. Yan Morty couldn't believe what he had heard from Song Dae-si. You're just saying that because you were running out of excuses to break me up. I don't believe you. Morty, please let me go. She tried to get away from his grip. No, please. Don't leave me. He started begging. Never in his lifetime he has begged for someone not to leave him. He was always the one who had been begged by those girls he broke up with, but Song Dae-si did not listen. He continuously begged for her while she hailed a cab, but she still left him being drenched by the rain. He suddenly felt some liquid fell into his face, and yes, it wasn't from the rain. Yan Morty still remembers how painful it was for him when Song Dae-si told him that she had never been in love with him. He did not believe her at first. He cannot accept the fact that all those sweetness that she had shown him was just a pretense. Yan Morty. He suddenly snapped out of his thoughts. It was Song Dae-si's voice. He gradually looked back to where the voice came from. The woman in his thoughts was approaching him. She was walking at the shore. Why are you here? She asked him. He just looked at her dumbfounded. Hey, you alright? Song Dae-si asked him with a worried tone. He looked at his wife and realized that she did not leave him, so he embraced her tightly. Where did you go? He asked her. I just went for a walk. You were still asleep earlier, so I didn't wake you up. Did I make you worry? He nodded. I'm sorry. Song Dae-si apologized. Yan Morty did not answer, but he was still holding her like he never wanted to let her go. Song Dae was puzzled, but she let herself stay under his tight embrace until she felt that he had calmed and gradually released her. They walked hand in hand when they returned to their casita. Next time when you want to take a walk, even if I can't accompany you, please at least leave me a message where you are. Yan Morty chided her. I tried to send you a message, but it didn't get through. I couldn't find any network signal. Yan Morty told her in a cold voice, you can just leave me a note. She nodded and realized that she was wrong. Are you mad at me? Morty looked at her. He was mad earlier, but how can he stay mad at her when she was looking at him like that, like an angel? You never know how worried I was when I woke up and you weren't there. I was scared that you have just left me again. Song Dae-si was stunned. She has no idea that it had made an impact on him. What should I do to make it up for you? She asked him. She can't bear looking at his cold face. Yan Morty's lips suddenly curled up. Compensate for me in bed. Aren't we supposed to have dinner now? Aren't you hungry? She said, trying to ignore his request. Yes, I'm hungry, and I can't wait to devour you, Yan Morty told her, and he suddenly carried her all the way to their casita. Yan Morty, you so naughty, she said, giggling because just like him, she can't wait to make love to him again, but they must have their dinner first. They went to the resort's restaurant instead. Song Dae-si looked at Yan Morty and realized that he was not eating. Why are you not eating? Are you supposed to spoon feed me? Couples do that, right? Spoon feeding each other? He answered. She almost spit out the food on her mouth when she heard his answer. She then remembered that his husband was a romantic fool. Nah. That's corny. She said, laughing. Yan Morty has pouted his lips, feeling disgruntled. Are you serious? Yan Morty did not answer. He was looking at the couple sitting beside their table, and envy had taken him when he saw that they were sweetly feeding each other. Song Dae-si looked to the direction where his eyes were. She smiled when she saw how envied Yan Morty was. She placed food on the spoon and fed it into Yan Morty's mouth. Hubby, ah. Yan Morty smiled sweetly at her, then immediately opened his mouth. He did the same and fed her too, and it felt good. Song Dae-si was awakened in the middle of the night by the sound coming from the man lying next to her. It wasn't that loud, but it still disrupted her sleep. She tried to cover her ears with a pillow so she could not hear him snoring, but that didn't help. She can't get herself back to sleep. She decided to go to the kitchen to get some water as she suddenly felt thirsty. She decided to stay there for a while and grabbed some midnight snacks too. Her thoughts were preoccupied by the man she just left in the bedroom. You never know how worried I was when I woke up and you weren't there. I was scared that you have just left me again. His words earlier still linger on her mind. She never thought that it gave him so much fear when she left him 10 years ago. She thought he had already recovered from the pain she had brought him. She could still remember how bad she was on him on that Saturday rainy night. "Let's break up," she said while they were walking down the side street from Brooks Cafe. They had their usual weekend date and were about to go home. Jan Morty's car was parked 100 meters away from the cafe. Jan Morty suddenly stopped. "What did you say?" She also stopped and said it again with conviction. "Let's break up." "Why?" Jan Morty asked her in puzzlement. "Have I done something wrong?" She answered him, "You are not my ideal boyfriend. You're a troublemaker and I was trying to change. Haven't you noticed it? I'm trying my best to get myself out of trouble. Please don't break up with me," he said and took a grip of her hands. She looked at him and saw that frightened look on his face. She took her gaze away from him. "I have already decided. It is better if we break up." "No. I don't want to. You're not the only person who can decide for this relationship. I'm not giving you up." She tried to look back at him. "Morty, don't make it hard for both of us. I want to be out of this relationship, so let me be." "Have you fallen out of love with me?" Jan Morty asked her. "No," she answered, "because she still does. I haven't fallen out of love with you because I haven't been in love with you in the first place," she said instead. She knew that her words would hurt him, but she said it anyway. Jan Morty couldn't believe what he had heard from Song Dae-si. "You're just saying that because you were running out of excuses to break me up. I don't believe you." "Morty, please let me go." She tried to get away from his grip. "No, please. Don't leave me." He started begging and the rain started pouring too. "Please let me go." She started hailing for a cab and they started to get the attention of the people walking nearby. Jan Morty refused to let go of her when she was about to ride the cab, but she managed to get away from his grip. As soon as she has seated from the passenger seat and the taxi has driven off, the tears that she tried to keep from falling earlier while with him have streamed down her cheeks. She looked at the side mirror as she saw that Jan Morty didn't make any move. He stayed there since she left him while being drenched by the rain. I'm sorry," she kept on sobbing and didn't care if the taxi driver saw how devastated she was. "That young man that we've left off, did you break up with him?" The taxi driver can't help but ask her. She looked at the taxi driver and saw his concerned look. He was about the same age as his father. She honestly answered him. "If you were hurting this bad, why did you break up with him?" She didn't answer him and he understood. He just let her cry inside the taxi until she reached home. Song Dae-si was in tears every time she remembered what had happened that night. It was the most painful night of her life. But she had to let him go, and there was no other way but out. She sobbed in her knees while she was seated on a dining chair until she felt someone's presence. "Hey, what's wrong?" She looked up and saw a towering figure intently looking at her. And worry flushed his face when he saw her crying. "Why are you crying?" He knelt down and cupped her face. "I'm sorry," she said instead. Feeling confused, Jan Morty asked her. "Sorry for what?" "For breaking you up 10 years ago," she said in between sobbing. Jan Morty suddenly froze. His expression suddenly changed. She saw a throbbing pain on his face. "That was a long time ago," he said. "But I guess I still owe you an apology. For breaking your heart. You've said sorry a million times and I have forgiven you a long time ago. If I haven't forgiven you, do you think you can ever come back in my life again? Do you want to know why I let you go 10 years ago?" You've already told me the reason, right? And you believe me? Morty looked at her and asked. Shouldn't I? She could feel the pain on his voice. She can't blame him. She made him feel that he was not capable of being loved. She felt that Jan Morty pulled her closer and embraced her. She continued sobbing on his shoulder. Whatever the reason is, it doesn't matter anymore, he said, trying to console her. He released her from his embrace so he could wipe her tears with his soft kisses on her face and sealed her mouth so she stopped sobbing. It was just a consoling kiss, but when she started opening her mouth, his kiss became passionate. He lifted her up and she clung her thighs on his waist and hooked her arms on his nape without departing their mouths from each other. He pinned her down on a dining table and let him do wonders on her body again. She wouldn't mind doing it on the dining table this time around. Song Dae-si was awakened by the sweet morning kisses that Jan Morty had planted on her face. The soft kisses started from her temple to the tip of her nose, to her chin down to her neck. Hey, she softly said. So finally you're awake. Jan Morty told her in a low hoarse voice. You exhausted me. She complained. They made 4 rounds of lovemaking last night. From the dining table to the kitchen floor to the living room until they made it to their bedroom, and she felt like her body had lost its spine to get up from the bed. Jan Morty laughed and grinned at her. What time is it? She asked. She looked at the clock at the bedside table, and it was almost 10 a.m. She wanted to rise up, but when she tried, she failed because her body was sore. We've lost the sunrise. Don't be upset, sweetheart, we have a lot of mornings to wake up to and watch sunrise together. For now, I have ordered our breakfast so we can regain our energy for another set of lovemaking. He said, giggling. You're kidding me, she said, eyes wide open. Jan Morty burst out laughing. You're such a fragile sweetheart. All I want is to crash into you. She smiled and looked at her husband intently. She can't help but caress his handsome face. Tomorrow promise me that we will wake up early in the morning to watch the sunrise. He said and kissed her mouth. She responded to his kisses and started to feel the heat again when she felt that his manhood below hardened. This fellow has a big appetite for lovemaking that she's trying hard just to keep up. Just one round, hubby. He said as he groaned. After breakfast, let me sleep again. He said and started to position himself on top of her. True to his word, after breakfast they just spent the rest of the day inside the villa just cuddling with each other. He made her sleep the whole day, so she could regain her energy. After dinner, they had a movie marathon until they dozed themselves into another restful sleep. As Jan Morty has promised, they woke up as early as 5 a.m. to watch the sunrise. They have laid down the beach towels at the sand and seated on it as they have waited for the sun to rise. Song Dae-si leaned her body to Jan Morty as he embraced her. Song Dae-si has always dreamt of this. To watch every sunrise and sunset with him. Being wrapped into his embrace made her heart full and content. They could feel the cool breeze in the sea and only hear the waves crashing into it. She felt that Morty had kissed the tip of her head. She pulls his slender arms tightly into hers so she can maximize the warmth emanating from his body. Why do you want to get pregnant soon? His out-of-the-blue question has startled her. She tried to compose herself when she answered him. I'll be turning 27 years old in a few months from now. I just thought I've come to the right age to have my offspring soon. She did not hear any response from Jan Morty. Does he believe her reason? Dad is getting old as well. I wanted him to enjoy playing with his grandchild too. She added, trying to convince him. She heard him murmuring. She wasn't sure what he was thinking. I want a dozen offspring. He eventually said. She drifted from leaning into his body and faced him. A dozen? Jan Morty grinned. Yes. No. She disagrees. Because you ain't the one who will carry and deliver them, it's so easy for you to say that. Huh? Jan Morty knitted his eyebrows. It will take a lot of hard work from my end, producing my semen that contains my sperm cells to help fertilize your eggs for 12 times as well. Song Dae-si has widened her eyes in disbelief. This fellow has started becoming shameless since day one of their married life. I don't want to get pregnant every year, she pouted. Let's make it every other year then. He grinned. I wonder if I have planted our twins already into your womb from our exciting adventures. He whispered playfully into her ears. She subconsciously rubbed her tummy and wished that what he had said was true. It's lonely being an only child. It's better to have siblings that you can play with. To have a dozen or not, it doesn't really matter. What matter is, how are we going to raise them together? She said emotionally. Yan Morty pulled her closer and kissed her temple. We're going to raise them together and watch with them every sunrise and sunset of our lives. She was spellbound by his words. Is he promising her a life forever with him? Till death do they part? She looked at the sea and the sun had started to rise up from the east. She has gotten her hopes up.